What's going on, guys? It's the Bigs Podcast, episode 25. And today is the first review of the 2022 season. Week one is over, guys. The race is on. And we've got some teams that are pretty surprising and some teams that are pretty disappointing. With me this week to break down week one first from Northern New Jersey, the only Yankee fan that will ever appear on this broadcast, and fourth place finisher in the Bigs last year, Mike Haber. Mike, how you doing tonight, sir?
Doing well, Joe. Thanks for having me. I'm thrilled to be here to break down week one, and I can't believe we're doing this again. We're back at it. It's pretty awesome and exciting.
Yeah, it seems like it has been forever since we did this, and we didn't really know if we would be here, but here we are. And
Yep.
here we are with the reigning, defending, undisputed world heavyweight Bigs champion, a three-time champion, and our esteemed commissioner. Welcome back to the podcast, Ben Nisman. How are you this evening, sir?
Oh, Joe, I think I'm blushing after that introduction, man. And I get to hear that every single time I'm on the show. I was going to make sure I was here for the first week review. You better believe it, man. I made sure that I could get here. I didn't want to miss it. All I can say is it's so good to be back, because there was a point where I certainly believed that we wouldn't be here on this day. I thought eventually, maybe in weeks to come, but not now. Not on this day did I think we would be talking about. So I'm grateful and I'm humbled to be talking with Mike Haber, Joe Schubert about the Bigs. Lead it off for us, buddy.
Let's get going, guys. It is the first matchup of the year, and we're going to start at the top after week one. So we have to talk about probably the story of week one. It is, in fact, Josh Haber taking down a 14-4 win over Mike Sherman. Close categories this week. Now, going into this is something I'm going to highlight here going forward. The going into Sunday close stats. Josh led by 2 doubles. Mike led by 3 RBIs. Josh led by a steal and won it by that steal. Right? No, they ended up tying it. Mike came back and tied that. Batting average was by 11 points to Mike Sherman. On base percentage was 1 point to Josh Haber. Mike Sherman takes that one as well. So he did at least make lemonade a little bit out of what he was dealt here. True close categories here. We got 2 runs to Josh, a double by Josh, 4 walks, was it? Yeah, 4 walks by a batter, a save, 4 walks by a pitcher, 9 ticks on the whip, and 3 relief appearances. For Mike Sherman, the only close one he won here is RBIs by 4. They tied steals, losses, and home runs given up by a pitcher. On Josh's bench this week, Benjamin, it's the first time I'll ask you this season, he went 5 for 32. Is that good?
I think if you're trying to keep guys on the bench that are having poor days, then yes, it's over a 1 out of 6. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to clarify, Joe, for the people that haven't watched the show and what we do. You're trying to have a low batting average on the bench. Mm-hmm. So yes, I believe that is good, Joe. 5 for 32.
Absolutely. It was a 156 batting average, 3 runs, 4 RBIs, 3 walks, and 8 strikeouts. The 4 RBIs would play, but he'd have to be perfect, and we're not going to expect that. Exactly. His moves this week, he started off with Johnny Cueto and then dropped Johnny Cueto for Nick Senzel, dropped Pavin Smith for Robert Suarez, dropped Robert Suarez for Drew Smith. That is the Drew Flow of the Mets bullpen. Danny Jimenez, who's apparently going to be some sort of piece. Where is that? Who just got hurt? There's a closer that just...
He got a save today.
He's on the A's, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because Trevino went down. And added Joe Kelly to his IL. Then dropped Nick Senzel for Bryce Elder. Don't know anything about that guy. He dropped Miguel Rojas for Brendan Rodgers. It adds 2 hitters, 2 starters, and 4 relievers. Over on Mike Sherman's side, Ben, this guy goes 20 for 99.
Wow, it's almost 200. It's what? So what? It's is it 201?
202. Missed it by
Oh,
1. He did, however, leave 12 runs, 4 doubles, a triple, 3 homers, 10 RBIs, 11 walks, 33 strikeouts, and an error on the bench. The 12 runs certainly plays here. He lost that by 2. 4 doubles, he lost that by 1. Homers, he would have had. He didn't even get there. He won RBIs. The 11 walks probably plays, but it's 4 of them. The only thing I want to see is what happened here on the. It looks like he had a lot of stuff left here. Yeah, we are talking about Francisco Lindor with a double and 2 walks on the bench. We are talking about Josh Lowe with a triple and bench. There's some ways to do it here. It's early in the season. We're not going to nitpick too much because at the end of the day, you're still trying to figure out how your team works, just like we are. So we'll move on to Mike's moves this week. He added Josh Lowe and Andres Munoz while dropping Dylan Moore. Added Tony Santillan, the reliever in Cincinnati. He drops Dom Smith and Ahmed Rosario as the surprising one here for Jorge Mateo and Patrick Wisdom. Listen, I like Jorge Mateo, but I don't know if I would be dropping Ahmed Rosario for him. He drops Adrian Hauser for Dominic Leone. He drops Patrick Wisdom for G-Man Choi. 7 adds, 4 hitters, 3 relievers. We're going to do key players here, and then I will set the clock at 10 minutes for us to discuss this whole matchup. For Josh, his MVP this week is, in fact, a guy that he has texted you, Mike, about, Seiya Suzuki. Went 9 for 22. That's a 409 average, 7 runs, 2 doubles, 4 homers, 8 RBIs, 8 walks, 7 strikeouts, and a 567 on base percentage. His Cy Young this week, Kyle Gibson, 11 and 2/3, a win, a loss, a homer, 3 walks, 16 strikeouts, a 309 ERA, and 086 whip. His least valuable player this week, Austin Hayes, 6 for 30 with 3 runs, 2 doubles, no homers or RBIs, 4 walks, 8 strikeouts, 294 on base percentage. Just not going to cut it. And his Cy Yuck is what we're going to call these this year. Worst pitcher on the team this year, Chris Flexen this week. 4 1/3, a loss, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, a 6.23 ERA, a 185 whip. Over on Mike Sherman's side, his MVP, man, it's Trey Turner. It's his first rounder. We're going to say that a lot this year. 12 for 38. That's a 316 average with a 341 on base percentage, 6 runs, a triple, a homer, 7 RBIs, 2 steals, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts, and 2 errors. His Cy Young is Noah Syndergaard, 11 1/3, 2 wins, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, a 159 and an 07 whip. Uh-oh. Was I wrong about that guy? His least valuable player is Randy Arozarena, who goes 9 for 38. That's a 237 batting average. 2 runs, 4 doubles, 2 RBIs, 10 strikeouts, an error, no walks. And Cy Yuck goes to Shohei Ohtani, 8 1/3, 2 losses, a homer, 3 walks, 14 strikeouts, a 7.56 ERA, and a 1.56 whip. Gentlemen, Ben, I will start with you here. You know Mr. Sherman better than anyone else on the panel. Where's his head at after week 1?
well, I think what he said in our draft room kind of said it all. He was frustrated with the lack of balance between his offense and his pitching, his relief. In general, I think he's kind of pretty good at turning the page. So I don't think he's too hung up on it. I think it's more the story of a guy who followed up being in the playoffs for the first time in 15 years in Josh Haber, following it up with seeing his name in first place for the first time ever since he's joined us in 2007. Yeah. That's the story. Taking down a former champion, the only champion in the league besides you and I, the most recent time anyone else has won it. So I think that the statement was made, and when we talk about these two teams, it's just too hard to say right now. I love Josh Haber's offense a lot, but his pitching definitely does concern me. There's a lot of depth, but you wonder, is one of them going to really become not an ace, but even just like a number 1 or solid number 2? That remains to be seen. So that's my concern with Josh's team. But if I'm him, I'm pumped. And for me, I love seeing the fact that Josh is able to get on the heels of his past season. Because I kind of worried that after having a season like this, he would just it would just be kind of more of the same. But to start like this, he's already put himself in a good position that if his team does slump, like it kind of did towards this, like end of the second half ish last year, at least he's given himself some breathing room. So it's nice to see Josh in the driver's seat for the first time. I'm happy for him. I'm excited for him, and we'll see if there's more to come.
Hey, get the camera out. Josh Haber is in first place in the bigs for the first time in his career here in the bigs. Is that not correct, Benjamin?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's definite. I even asked him, have you ever seen your name in first place before? He said no. So
well, there it is. Congratulations, Josh. It's a hell of an accomplishment.
I wanted one of those party hats. You know what I mean? With
Mm-hmm.
the string that you wrap, but I didn't have one. So
Mike, you know him better than anybody on this panel. How's he doing? I know you just recently spoke to him, as am I.
Yes, no, he is pumped. And I think that he's like feeding off of the energy of being in first place, and it's fueling a lot of his discussions and his energy, and like the fact that he is like constantly like picking up free agents and like putting waivers in for certain guys and like contacting people to try to negotiate. Like this is, it's if you're in first place, you're going to have that energy and it's going to fuel you. And he knows he has a great team, and he knows he's a few pieces away from like, really having a like a gauntlet type team that people are going to fear. I know that he wants to improve in like right field. I know that he probably wants another starter. But I mean, I have a lot to complain about, and he's got nothing to complain about. So
this has been a great week for him. Vlad Guerrero has to be mentioned here with 5 homers and 10 RBIs and 7 runs scored. I assume it's because he had 11 strikeouts that he's not really going to be in the MVP discussion when Seiya Suzuki has similar numbers, a better batting average, a better on base, more walks than strikeouts. I respect the decision there, Mike.
Yeah.
Manny Machado had a great week as well. 8 runs scored. Like this team is stacked. This team is really stacked on offense.
Yeah, and I thought that's kind of once Vlad Guerrero had that 3 home run game, I kind of felt like that sealed the deal for Sherman, unfortunately. And we've seen it before when you have a hitter that's going off like that, he can carry your team and potentially win a week for you. If not, just get you 6 or 7 stats almost by himself and save you and making a loss, a good loss, as you call it. So at that point, I thought Sherman was done no matter what he did. So on the other side, I hope that Mike Sherman can find a way to, he's a guy that he won't really initiate for a trade, but he'll listen to offers. So if someone sees a weakness there, I know he'll be eager to try to fix what's going on. He's had some trouble with the injury bug. It's in past years. I feel like it's creeping up on him again.
Well, he drafted Flaherty and Clevenger, which already establishes your 2 IL spots. And Moncada went down like right after opening day.
Very quickly.
So that's where that bite comes from. That being said, he's very deep in the outfield. And I don't necessarily dislike the idea of his infield either, but I think we do need to discuss the fact that he dropped Ahmed Rosario. That was a pretty nice piece to have.
Do you believe in him in something that you didn't?
I just think it's the guy hitting ahead of Jose Ramirez. Like I don't think that's a bad position.
But he still needs to get on base. Like I was starting to learn that about Josh Donaldson. Like, yeah, he's leading off for the team, but like he still needs to get on or he's useless, So
he's got 7 on base. He only has 2 walks on the season.
I've never felt like, and you know him from watching him, Joe, he would never walk.
Yeah, that is frustrating. I just do you see 15 homer power in this bat?
Yeah, more than
15,
that. I see more.
17, maybe
Yeah,
20?
I see 20. I can see 20.
Okay.
But 20 is fairly common in baseball
Anymore, yeah.
nowadays. Even with them changing the ball again last year, and it seemed like offense was dead. I still feel like a 20 homer guy. Show me something else. If he's 20 homers and he's still batting like 278 to 282, okay, then you're telling me he's super solid. But I think 20 home runs, and if he's striking out 160 times, I don't want.
And now that I'm really looking at Sherman's makeup of his team, I don't see a way Ahmed Rosario plays on this team.
Okay.
So Giancarlo Stanton is corner eligible. Jesus Sanchez is triple eligible in the outfield. Randy Arozarena is corner eligible, and Adam Duvall is all four.
Yeah, I love.
You're playing all four of those guys ahead of Ahmed Rosario. Yeah. And then at shortstop, he's got Francisco Lindor and Trey Turner. You're playing both of them ahead of him at shortstop.
No I feel like no matter what, he's leaving a pretty, I would say, a guy that you wish you didn't have to leave on the bench. You're leaving one guy on the bench.
Yeah.
It's like pretty good.
But I feel like he probably could have gotten some value back for Rosario in a trade, some sort of trade.
You think so? I have no interest in him. Okay. Maybe you're right.
Here's the thing. I put in a waiver claim on him and Joey Wendell, and I would have been happy with either of them. I ended up with Wendell, obviously, but I put in the waiver claim first for Rosario.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah.
I know he wasn't going to fall. Yeah.
All right. Let us move on to the next matchup here. We are going to talk about a newcomer here to the Bigs this season. We're going to talk about Christian Wood taking on Jimmy Dunlap this week. We have a 13-6 finish here as I continue to stall trying to share the screen. There we go. 13-6 win for
I didn't even see that that's what you were doing, so that was a good,
Yeah, impressive.
I'm glad to hear that.
Well played.
All right. Well, so on Sunday, the only thing that flipped, Jimmy had on base percentage by 3 ticks, and Christian was able to flip that to make it a 13-6 finish. Close categories this week, Christian wins by 2 doubles, 2 home runs, 3 RBIs, and 2 losses. Jimmy wins by a win, 2 saves, and 4 relief appearances. They tied in triples, walks by a batter. On Christian's bench this week, Ben, he went 22 for 106.
All right. I mean, we're still talking close to 200. I'll just say 200.
Yes, it is a 208 batting average with 14 runs, 4 doubles, a triple, 10 RBIs, 3 steals, 6 walks, 25 strikeouts, and an error. The only thing that really plays here I'm looking at is the triple and any of those walks, because those 2 categories were tied. The triple exists on Saturday, and when we pull up Saturday for Christian, we see right here is Jeremy Pena. Was it the 16th? Is that what I'm looking at here?
You on the right team?
That's why. Here we go.
Yeah.
Jeremy Pena's triple on the bench. He goes 3 for 3, 2 runs, a double, a triple, and an RBI. And will you look at Willy Adames, 1 for 4 with 2 strikeouts?
That's it.
These are the questions you're going to be asking yourself all season, and these are the things that cost you categories. More on that later from our commissioner, Ben Nisman.
Absolutely. And when we're talking about this matchup,
absolutely. The moves for Christian this week, he dropped Marco Gonzalez for Emilio Pagan, who's going to apparently close in Minnesota. Dropped Patrick Wisdom for Robinson Cano. Picked up and then dropped Hunter Dozier in the same day for Leury Garcia. Dropped Garcia the next day for Stallings. Added Nick Whitgren, Jonathan VR, Eric Fetty, Jonah Heim, and Tony Kemp and Dan Vogelbach. He ended up dropping back Heim, Cano, Bader, Whitgren, and Stallings. So most of these guys just rotating through. Interestingly enough, the Hunter Dozier add and drop, the Jonah Heim add and drop, and the Jacob Stallings add and drop. Those 3 kind of all interesting enough to me. It's 11 ads, 8 hitters, a starter, and 2 relievers. On Jimmy's side, Ben, he goes 19 for 67.
Ooh. Well, it could certainly be worse, but it could be better. 19 for 67.
Mm-hmm.
258.
284.
Oh, geez, that was way off.
284 with 6 runs, 3 doubles, 4 homers, 9 RBIs, 6 walks, and 12 strikeouts. The 3 doubles plays, but you'd have to be perfect. The 4 homers plays, I suppose. 9 RBIs, that's probably where you're looking at. And 6 walks on the bench with it tied. It looks like a lot of Brandon Belt being benched this week. Is that what you saw here, Mike?
Yeah, a lot of like first base rotation with Rizzo, Mancini, and Belt, and I feel like that could potentially be a problem.
All 3 only first base eligible, can only play 2 at a time, obviously. Maybe that's an avenue for a trade for somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see his additions this week. He added Brandon Belt, Diego Castillo, the Pittsburgh infielder. That really scared me when I saw him out on the waiver wire like the first day. I was like, wait a minute. I don't know how to pronounce this dude's first name, Reaver San Martin, and Austin Nola. That day, he also dropped Josh Harrison, Chris Bubich, and Yan Gomes. He added Bobby Miller. He added Stephen Kwan. He dropped Stephen Kwan the next day. More on that guy later. For Reed Detmers, Austin Adams gets picked up for Jake Cousins. Eric Lauer and Aledmus Diaz get picked up for Austin Nola and San Martin. Profar gets added for Diego Castillo. I think that's an upgrade, if I'm being honest, with like a versatile infield bat. Castillo then gets added back again for the second time in the matchup for Aledmus Diaz. Tyler Naquin gets added for James Karinchak and Austin Adams hitting the IL. Brad Keller gets added to the team, Marco Gonzalez and Clay Holmes for Reed Detmers, and the big name that's hitting the IL from this team, Hyunjin Ryu, Ben. Hyunjin Ryu gets booted off his team because of injury. And what we're looking at here is you can miss 2 or 3 starts with what looks like a left forearm inflammation. We'll go over the key players here and begin the clock. For Christian, his MVP is Miles Straw. 12 for 36 as a 333 with 10 runs, 2 doubles, a triple, an RBI, 4 steals, 8 walks, and a 455 on base percentage. The Cy Young is Logan Gilbert. 10 innings, a win, a homer, a walk, 11 strikeouts, an 0.90 ERA, and 0.80 whip. The least valuable player, Adalberto Mondesi, 4 for 24. That's a 167 average, 2 runs, an RBI, a steal, a walk, 10 strikeouts, and a 200 on base percentage. His Cy Yuck, Ranger Suarez, 7 2/3, a win, a homer, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts, a 5.87 ERA, a 196 whip. For Jimmy, the MVP, and possibly the MVP for the entire week, Jose Ramirez, 16 for 35. That is a 457 batting average. 6 runs, 4 doubles, a triple, 3 homers, 15 RBIs, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, 2 errors, and a 500 on base percentage. The Cy Young is Luis Severino, 8 innings, a win, a homer, 2 walks, 11 strikeouts, 2.25 ERA, 0.71 whip. The least valuable player is Carlos Correa, 4 for 30, a 133 batting average this week. 4 runs, 2 doubles, a homer, an RBI, 3 walks, 13 strikeouts, error, and a 212 on base percentage. Finally, the Cy Yuck is that guy that I mentioned earlier, Reaver San Martin. 2 1/3, a loss, 5 walks, 2 strikeouts, a 19.29 ERA, a 386 whip. Mike Haber, we'll go to you first here. What did you see? You broke it down.
Yeah, it was an interesting matchup, and I feel like maybe Jimmy underestimated this newer manager. It's possible. I think that, and I wrote this down in there, but I think that Jimmy maybe overmanaged a little bit this week. I think adding Brandon Belt to his team, obviously Belt is a good player, but it caused a major logjam where he had to make that decision. And I know we've talked about this before, but like making that decision of like, who am I benching today? it's terrifying because if you make the wrong decision, like you're stuck with whatever's on your bench. So in my opinion, I think that Jimmy kind of managed himself out of contention to win this week. I think he's got a good team. I think Christian's got a good team, but I don't think that Jimmy was necessarily prepared for this new manager.
I think the pitching is what really scares me about Jimmy's team, and I'm not exactly sure that he's got anybody that I would consider stabilizing. Like, there's not anybody that I'm like, oh, okay, that guy's going on the mound today and he's going to give you a good start. I can't say that about Luis Severino or Nate Eovaldi or Marco Gonzalez or Zach Gallen or Bailey Older. Like, it's not a good rotation. Ben, your thoughts on his team?
On his team, well, look, I think you addressed the weakness of the team, and I would even throw in the fact that he only has one closer, so maybe that can compete against a couple of the teams that we have. But in general, like the best thing he has,
and that closer hit the IL,
right? But if he comes right, but if he comes back and he has his job, that's a chip potentially at the deadline. But I think not much else, you know. I'm not concerned about Jimmy. He's a guy that, and we talk about, we know how important when we leave stats on the bench and we find out how they play. A lot of that ends up piling up, and at the end you're like, oh, okay, you know, that's the reason I didn't get into the playoffs. Well, if anyone has a hindsight going on after what happened last year, it's Jimmy. You know, so I feel like this year more than ever, after him losing by a stat in 2019, after him having the same exact record as Costas, but the tiebreaker puts, I mean, we'll never see that happen again.
There's no way.
No, the two teams going for the final playoff spot with the same exact record, no, that won't happen again.
Yeah.
But now we think about it more than ever, you know, because we realize how critical every stat is. So, but I wonder how much he overmanaged, because maybe some of these stats, I'm sure they played like RBIs and doubles, and there might have been a way to get some stuff in, but his opponent had 53 runs where he had 32. Like, he wasn't coming near that. Like,
no, but the walks, the triple, he didn't have a triple. I'm sorry. The walks is what hurts. That's the first one right off.
Yeah, the
he tied and he left 6.
But don't you think? I mean, Christian probably left a couple walks on the bench, right? Like, he could have gone either way.
He also left 6 walks. Yes, so it could have gone either.
I'm worried about either one of these teams. I'm playing one of them now. I play the other one next week, and if I get out of there 1-1 and slightly under 500, I'll be happy, man. Because like, I don't want to play either of these guys again. You know, Jimmy, I swear he's going to be lethal this year. If he doesn't have the starting pitching, he will find a way to get the starting pitching. I just truly believe that about Jimmy, and I'm not concerned if I'm him. I mean, it's a different animal, but like, looking from that perspective, I don't think he should have anything to worry about. Week 1, 20 to go. He's got a huge lead on Ari right now. I think he'll find a way to squash the bug there. So, a lot more to come, Joe. I'm excited. I'm excited about both of these managers.
Yeah. Christian really showed me something, and I don't know if he did with you guys as well, but this is an impressive win for a first week manager in this league.
Yeah.
To take down a manager of this magnitude. And not for nothing, dude's put together a pretty good team here, right?
Yeah.
On the pitching side, Bieber and Gausman are your 2 aces, with Gilbert as your number 3. That's pretty good. That is pretty good. Chris Paddock and Rasmussen rounded out.
Yeah.
Gausman had a great start today. 8 innings, a 1-run ball. His offense is balanced. It's Bryce Harper at the anchor, Cedric Mullins with a good bunch of speed, Jared Walsh. Hopefully he can figure out lefties of some semblance this year.
Yeah. You know, you talked about Straw having 10 runs.
Yeah.
And then Bryce adds 9. You know, that's 19 runs from two guys, right? And Bryce threw in 9 RBIs too. Didn't have a good average. Figured out a way to help his fantasy team, even though the average wasn't good. 11 strikeouts isn't good, but he finds other ways to, benefit there.
Yeah. Mike, what do you think on the bullpen for both of these guys? I'm certainly liking what I'm seeing on Christian's team here.
Yeah. Liking what I'm seeing on Christian's team, and like you said, if Presley comes back, you've got a closer, and I mean, I think most teams in the league this year have at least one guy that can get a few saves. There may be one or two managers that don't. But it's going to be, if Presley is injured, it's going to be tough for Jimmy to find saves there. But I like that he's put together, like, he's got Chad Green and Clay Holmes, which is like probably the two most consistent pitchers the Yankees have right now.
Okay.
So I like that a lot. Christian, I'm just trying to pull his team up.
He's
right
got
here.
Paul Sewald, Emilio Pagan, Edwin Diaz, Corey Knebel. That's about it. Keegan Thompson, I think, is a guy.
Okay. So, I mean, Pagan, he kind of, that was a great pickup. Yeah, great pickup. And I think Knebel, we were all sort of wondering if he was the closer going into this year, but like, so far, so good.
Sure looks like it.
Yeah.
Edwin Diaz is going to be a roller coster ride, Ben Nisman, as we know. But
yeah, he'll have his ups and downs.
Yeah, sure. But at the end of the day, he's going to strike out a ton of dudes, and he'll have somewhere near 30 saves.
Yes,
if not upwards of 40. Right? If he has a great year, I could see him with 40. If he has a bad year, he'll have 25.
Diaz, Knebel, Pagan, like perfect 3, man bullpen to go with, to try to go against a lot of our managers that are matching up with basically 1 or 2 closers. There's a few that are the outliers. We know who they are, but in general, he'd even compete with someone like me, for saves. I think I'll get him this week, but in general, he's going to win that category with those 2 guys.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next matchup here. We are going to talk about a pair of managers that really have impressed this week, and for one of them, he's looking to get back into the playoffs. It's Brian Lebo taking down a 13-7 win over newcomer Matt Losey this week. Close categories this week. They were tied in strikeouts by a batter going into Sunday, and they were tied at wins. One goes to Matt and one goes to Brian. The close categories this week: Brian wins by a homer, 2 steals, an error, and 2 saves. Matt wins by the 2 relief appearances, and they tied in triples. For Brian on his bench this week, Ben, 29 for 84.
Oof, that doesn't sound very good. Something like 380? I don't know.
It's 345. It's pretty awful. And yet he still won like a good majority of them. And his entire team hit 229. He hit like horrible in the lineup and was great on the bench. 16 runs, 5 doubles, 5 homers, 13 RBI, a steal, 8 walks, and 15 strikeouts. The 16 runs plays, that's a huge number. The 13 RBIs is a huge number.
He won these categories anyway.
He won homers anyway. He lost RBIs.
I'm sorry. I thought we were talking about Matt's. I'm sorry. I thought we were talking about Matt's.
Nope, this is Brian. Yeah. Okay. The runs he lost, the RBIs he lost, homers he barely won.
RBIs was going to be hard to grab, though. It's a big deficit.
Sure. Over on his transactions this week. Here we go. I think we talked about this in the draft review show. Perhaps we should recover it here. Anthony Rendon and Charlie Blackmon going to Ben Nisman for Rafael Devers and Jeff McNeil. Let's talk about it from what Brian is receiving, and we'll talk about what you're receiving during your matchup, Ben. Let's start there. What you giving up, Ben? I'm sorry. I want to pause here and take this trade, and then we'll go for the rest.
Okay, so I guess I'm not. Why don't you? I guess I don't
I'm
understand
looking
your question.
for your analysis on how Brian's team is affected by the pieces he's bringing in Devers and McNeil.
Well, I think he automatically has a new third baseman. That's his automatic third baseman. Now, at the time, I was making him kind of make a decision on the second baseman. Is his starting second baseman Jeff McNeil, or is it Rogers on the Rockies? Well, going into the season, most people would probably say Rogers based on, a new guy, in Colorado, younger, let's see what he's got. Jeff McNeil coming off a down year. His resume says, well, he had a good 2019. He came, pretty hot in 2018. So what is he? Well, he made the decision quickly for himself, did Brian Lebo, and said, Jeff McNeil is my everyday second baseman. And he dropped Rogers. So where is he now? He's got his starting second baseman and starting third baseman, and he was easily able to replace his right field. So you look at his team now, it just seems like it's deeper, it's stronger, and now he knows that Benny LeBenz is a good guy to do business with, because all he does is make his team better.
Like, you giving him Devers really, really makes this lineup scary. However, we'll see in a moment that there is one gaping problem with this offense. We'll get to it. He dropped Phil Bickford for Patrick Corbin, who gave him 4 innings, a loss, and a 4.50 ERA. He dropped Corbin for Jeurys Familia, who gave him a relief appearance. He did drop Brendan Rodgers 6 days after the trade. He added Owen Miller, who benched a big game. This dude has been on fire and then caught COVID, so who knows what he's going to be. He added JT Brubaker for a bad start. He added Josh Rogers for a bad start. He dropped Josh Rogers and picked Patrick Corbin again and got a decent start. His MVP this week, CJ Cron, 297 average, 333 on base, 7 runs, a double, a triple, 5 homers, 10 RBIs, a walk, and 10 strikeouts. His Cy Young, Carlos Rodon, 12 innings, a win, 4 walks, 21 strikeouts in 12 innings. Nasty.
Jeez.
A 150 ERA and 0.75 whip. His least valuable player, Franmil Reyes, 150 average, 171 on base, a run, 2 RBIs, a walk, and 15 strikeouts.
Ooh.
Yuck. And speaking of yuck, his Cy Yuck is Tariq Skubal. 4 innings, a loss, 4 earned, walk, 3 strikeouts, and a 2 whip. Over on the other side for Matt Losi, Ben, he went 24 for 99.
Oh, that's basically 250.
242, 13 runs, 4 doubles, a triple, 3 homers, 10 RBIs, 7 walks, 17 strikeouts, and 2 errors. The triple obviously plays, and where is it, you ask? Well, it was actually very early on. It was first Friday of the season, right here, as we see Austin Meadows on the bench. Goes 2 for 4 with a triple and 2 runs scored with 3 walks. Or I'm sorry, 1 for 2 with 3 walks. His outfield is interesting. It's JD Martinez, Tommy Pham, Will Myers, and Austin Meadows. Little bit of a logjam because he does have Ohtani, who takes up the utility spot every day. So it's going to be interesting to see how he mixes and matches that going forward. That's the big one there. His moves for the week, we will talk about adding Josh Harrison and Domingo Acevedo, apparently another guy who's going to be in the mix in Oakland for a closer's job. He dropped Elias Diaz, the catcher, for Mike Yastrzemski, who went 2 for 5 with a run, a double, an RBI, and a strikeout. Good pickup there. Dropped Mike Yastrzemski for Chas. It's the first time we're going to reference Chas McCormick this year. It's not Chaz. It's an S on his name. His name is Chas, as in more than one. He dropped Caleb Thielbar for Michael Lorenzen. He dropped Alex Kirilloff for Cole Irvin, who gave him 6 1/3 of 4.26 ERA and 0.79 WHIP. He then dropped Cole Irvin for Jose Quintana, and this is the one I had to question because I just didn't feel like this was a good start. 4 innings, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, a 6.75 ERA, a 2 WHIP. It could have been worse. Dropped Josh Harrison for Patrick Wisdom, and dropped Tim Meza for Carlos Hernandez. His MVP this week, we shall talk about Ty France. 289 average, 400 on base percentage, 4 runs, 2 doubles, 2 homers, 9 RBI, 5 walks, and 6 strikeouts. His Cy Young, yeah, he got Logan Webb like stupid late in this draft, and the fifth round, 72nd overall. Like the fact that somebody let him go be somebody's number 2 behind Barrios is kind of silly. 14 innings, a win, a walk, 10 strikeouts, a 1.29 ERA, and 0.71 WHIP. His least valuable player is Tommy Pham, who has just absolutely pooped his pants to start the season. He has an 0.38 average with a 194 on base percentage, 2 runs, an RBI, a steal, 5 walks is about the only redeeming thing, and 6 strikeouts.
I don't think he wants to be playing on that team.
He's even said like he signed a 1-year deal here, and all he's going to try to do is get as many numbers as he possibly can so that he can cash out and go get a real contract. Like he is a very outspoken human being, and he definitely does not like being where he is right now. But he's going to make lemonade out of lemons. The Cy Yuck this week goes to Jose Barrios.
Gotta be.
Absolutely the worst start of the first week. 108 ERA and a 15 WHIP on opening day. For the Toronto Blue Jays, just awful.
I watched that start. I cannot believe he can't get an out. Like he really can't get an out against the Texas Rangers.
Yeah.
Just and amazing that the Blue Jays. He got a no decision after coming out in the first inning.
Right.
He ended up.
It was amazing that he did not get a loss there.
Yep.
Insanity. Mike Haber, let's talk about these teams here. I'll let you pick where you want to guide this conversation.
I mean, I want to talk about Matt's team, I think, because I brought him into the league, and overall, I'm impressed with what he put together here. I think he's got, especially for a guy who didn't really know what to expect going into draft day.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is a guy who said during the draft, like, I have no idea what you guys are doing with these closers.
What kind of league
like,
did I join?
What kind of league?
Closers back to back in 1 and 2.
So clearly he's got a weakness in his bullpen. But you know what? I really do like his starting pitching. Like you just mentioned before, I like Logan Webb and Trevor Rogers and Jesus Luzardo. And, if Barrios can kind of turn it around, like it's a nice 1, 2, 3, 4.
Go to war with.
Yeah.
4.
Yeah.
He does lose John Means. It does look like John Means is going to be out for a long time.
Yes.
Sprain. So what else is new?
Yeah.
That sucks. So.
Yeah. But you know what? He anchored his offense with Ohtani and JD Martinez, and I don't have a problem with that. And I think that he's going to stay active, and he cares a lot, and he's passionate about it. I'm trying to get him to change his team name, but
that would be helpful. That is something we definitely need you to do. You can't be a mind-blowing team for the rest of the year. That's I mean, what happens if you finish in like 14th place? Then it's not
Plus
really
it's still mind-blowing how bad it is.
Our league is better than that, though. We expect better than that.
Know.
That's a default team name. Like we're better than that here.
Yeah.
We are better than that here. It's kind of, in a way, though, it is funny that it has been that for this long. It hasn't been anything else.
Right. Well, now he shouldn't change it because it's funny, but.
I mean, it could be a meme this year, but I mean, if he could come up with something like to play off of one of these players, like Matt's Trinan blowing team or like whatever, like come up with some way to play it into that would be great.
Sure.
I digress. The concern I have with Brian Lebo's team, holy shit, this team's going to strike out a lot. Dalton Varsho had 11 strikeouts. Jose Abreu had 10. Bo Bichette had 11. Cody Bellinger had 12. Reyes had 15. Reyes had 15. Crone had. That is a lot of strikeouts.
Yeah, no question. Between Devers, Reyes, and Bellinger, I almost feel like he's already submitted to losing that category most weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's okay. Like, he can still be successful and have those guys in his lineup because they'll bring him other categories. But yeah, I mean, that's something that definitely concerns me. Somehow, though, what shocked me is the fact that he does have Devers. The reason I got one of the reasons besides the strikeouts I got rid of Devers, and we'll get into it more, is the errors. And for Lebo to only have one error this entire week and win that category 2-1, huge. Like, he's got to be going on that because that's not a tied category. That's a W. So he should be feeling good about that. If I can just switch gears, I know, and we have time to get back to Brian Lebo. We should on that win. It's a big win. But I love that I got texts from Matt during the week asking questions about the inning limit, as they call it, and it's confusing. And he was like, "What's with the limit? Can I not, do I have to stop at some point?" And I was like, "No, on the contrary, it's a minimum. Like you got to reach that number." So now he understands, he's clear, and he realized how critical it is. So as far as what Mike was talking about with the activity, yes, I'm grateful. Matt is being active so far, and it looks like getting to that minimum is going to be important to him, no matter what, not just for him, but for the integrity of the league. So maybe even if he's having a difficult season, he's not going to let that get in the way. He's still going to do what he has to help the league, and I appreciate it so much.
We all appreciate that. It is one thing that we all pride ourselves on, is making the minimum every week. Every single one of these matchups counts and is legitimate. That being said, Brian Lebo seems to be doing his strategy of streaming pitchers early in the season again. This week, it really paid off. A 3.07 ERA across 99 and 2/3 innings with 103 strikeouts and a 1.13 WHIP. Wow. Did he change something, or are we just seeing success because it's early, Mike?
Yeah. I think, it was the first week, and I think we have to sort of take that into consideration here, and that, he was trying to get as many stats as he could. I think Lebo is a savvy enough manager to know at this point, he can't do this every week, but for week one in a long week, everyone plays different, everyone is playing with, first of all, we all had those extra ads at the beginning of the year. And second of all, you're competing in these innings and strikeout numbers that you're never going to see again the rest of the season.
The only other week you'll see it is All-Star week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I give him a pass for this. I don't see him doing this every week.
I do find it interesting that he threw 20 more innings than Matt and gave up 4 fewer homers.
Yeah, he was picking them right. And if you ask me, I do think we have to chalk a lot of it up to first week giving it a shot and making educated guesses. But I don't believe that that's what he'll be doing especially because not only it being the first week, but also the opponent. You change your strategy according to how you see your opponent playing. And he saw an opportunity, go for this, and it worked out for him, and he knew when to stop too. So I give him a lot of credit. It's an important first win to get under his belt, playing a rookie manager, and he was unbelievable last year with the run he went on. So
no doubt.
Huge for him, and I'm expecting a very good season from him at this point. And I really hope that Matt just surprises us all, and in even 2 months from now, we're talking about how he's flirting with 500 and in a playoff conversation.
Yeah, that would be incredible for a first showing, and that's all that your first year in this league should be, and anything more than that is gravy. We've seen a lot of first year managers make deep runs. We've seen first year managers win championships in this league in the past. That being said, I don't really think that's something that would happen now, but who knows? If one of these two new guys wins the championship, you will look back on this in week one and quoting it. That being said, gentlemen, it is time to move on to the next matchup, and that is this guy's win. First win in the books for me, gentlemen. 13-7 win over Frank Bucco. We had no changes from Saturday going into Sunday. It was 13-7 then. It ends as such. Close categories. I win by 2 steals and a loss. Frank wins by 2 doubles and 2 home runs by a batter, and we tied by home runs given up by a pitcher. On my bench this week, Ben, I went 5 for 12.
Well, that's easy to calculate, Joe. But is it just because you have such a small bench that
Pretty much.
All right.
Pretty
I mean, did anything play?
No.
That's garbage, Joe. That's
Yeah.
garbage.
It's a 417
With
batting
your
average with
almost
2 runs, a
500,
double, a
yeah.
triple, a homer, 5 RBIs, a walk, and 3 strikeouts. I won triples. It was my 5th. It was actually the 5th triple I would have had this week. I left it on the bench.
Jeez.
Yeah, I had 4 triples this week
That's
in the
disgusting.
lineup and 1 out of it. Yeah, it was nice.
Wait, what was the final triple? Sorry, as far as like how many?
Who
how
had
many?
them?
I'm
Franco
saying
had-
no. That's not what I'm asking. The total number for you and him and Frank.
5 total between.
No,
between
5.
them.
How many from you had 4 and he had 1?
Correct.
That's what I was asking. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, you
Okay.
beat him by that then. Okay.
Yeah, so that triple doesn't matter. My moves this week, I added David Peralta, who was in the middle of the Diamondbacks lineup for a while, and that felt good. I added Jose Alvarado, who gave me a couple of good innings. Dakota Hudson, I added with every intention of starting him in Pittsburgh against that bad lineup. They get rained out. He gets, I think it was like Kansas City or somebody in the next start. It was an okay start, but I'm like, no, I really liked him against Pittsburgh. He gets blown up, but I didn't end up rostering him at that point. I added Brooks Raley, who gave me a relief appearance. I added Joey Wendell on the waiver wire. Bruce Smiley gave me 5 shutout innings at Pittsburgh. I was like, that's what I was looking for out of Dakota Hudson. Thank you very much. Added Scott Efros and then dropped him the same day for Sir Anthony Dominguez because I saw that guy pitch a hell of a lot better. I didn't. The process was correct. The player I was looking at it with. That's why I had to correct that. And I added Tyler Anderson, who gave me a 4-inning relief appearance and a win. Thank you. Dropped Dominguez for Jalen Beeks, who gave me 2 innings. Dropped Jalen Beeks for Josh Staumont, who's now the closer in Kansas City. Thank you very much, Frank. That's the one he gave me this week. I added Darren Ruff, who was an experiment, and it might not be working out. I dropped Tyler Anderson and added Jorge Lopez, who apparently is the closer in Baltimore. Thank you, Mike Haber.
Anytime.
I used all 12 ads. On Frank's bench, Benjamin 2 for 18.
Wow, nice job. A 1 for 9 from Frank. So that's I don't know, 140.
111.
All right.
3 RBIs, 2 walks, and a strikeout. Nothing plays. Surprisingly enough, he only used 11 ads this week. That might be a first. He added David Fletcher for Seth Brown, added Spencer Strider for Hunter Green. That's the surprising one. Anthony Santander for Mike Yastrzemski, and Heliot Ramos was the Giants prospect he used against me for a day. He added Austin Nola, who gave him a solo homer. He added Oscar Mercado, who went for 4 with 2 strikeouts. Sean Doolittle, Keegan Aiken, and Michael King all get added on the 13th, and one of them he didn't even get into the lineup for a relief appearance. Dropping Mercado, Staumont, and Heliot Ramos. Staumont is obviously going to end up on this team now. Justin Steele is a stream that we all were scratching our head about. 4 1/3 in a no decision, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, 2 earned runs in Colorado. And that was the really confusing thing was you're starting this kid that I'm not entirely sure that we all know that he can shave yet. And he's throwing in Colorado. I would be wary of that. He got away with it. That was the interesting day, Mike, where all 3 of his pitchers that day had multiple run leads in the 3rd inning or later, and none of them got wins.
Wow.
None of them got wins that day. Finally, he added Taylor Ward for Justin Steele. Key players this week. My most valuable hitter is Wander Franco, because of course it is. 381 average, 386 on base percentage, 8 runs, 5 doubles, a triple, 5 RBIs, a steal, a walk, 4 strikeouts, and an error. My Cy Young is, in fact, Raisel Iglesias. 4 innings, a win, 2 saves, a homer given up, 4 strikeouts, a 2.25 ERA, and 0.50 WHIP with 4 relief appearances. Verlander was tremendous. I just didn't start him for the second start. Otherwise, it would have been him. My least valuable hitter, according to Jason Ashby, who did this research, Jazz Chisholm. 200 batting average, 278 on base, 3 runs, a double, a triple, a homer, 5 RBIs, 2 walks, and 5 strikeouts. That's my least valuable hitter this week. So we're clear on that.
I don't know. I don't know about that. Looking at some of these other dudes. I
Yeah,
don't
like
know if
Darren
it's-
Ruff was pretty rough.
Right. Even
111.
though it's a smaller sample.
It's a 1
size,
for 9 with 2 strikeouts is what that is.
I think Narvaez fair is the better call as 4 for 19.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's more like it.
Yeah.
The Cy Yuck, according to Jason, is Sir Anthony Dominguez with an inning and a third, 2 strikeouts, and 7.5 ERA, and a 150 WHIP with a relief appearance. I mean,
Wow.
let's be honest here. I pitched to a 1.57 ERA this week. The highest ERA on my team is that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it
Jeez.
has to be him. On Frank's side, his MVP is Starling Marte, 263 average, 317 on base, 8 runs, a double, 2 homers, 10 RBIs is surprising, 2 steals, a walk, and 4 strikeouts. His Cy Young is Dylan Cease, 10 2/3, 2 wins, 5 walks, 16 strikeouts, a 169 and an 094. His least valuable hitter, surprisingly enough, batting champion Yuli Gurriel, 167 average and on base, a run, 3 doubles, 3 strikeouts. And finally, the Cy Yuck is Yu Darvish. 7 2/3, a loss, a homer, 6 walks, 5 strikeouts, a 10.57 ERA, 183.
Very strange. Very strange you were taking him. Now, he did bench Yu Darvish on Sunday, right? Because there was no point in starting him.
Yeah,
But
the only thing he
his
could do
ERA
was
ends
lose
up looking
homers.
that much. Right. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. And he did give up a home run.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he did.
So,
Yes, he did.
yeah. I mean,
I'll let you guys control where this one goes. It's
I'll
my
start.
team, you know?
I'll definitely start. Joe, I think you built a very, very complete team between the offense, bullpen, pitching. Out of the 3, your offense probably scares me the least, although it's very pesky. But I loved watching the poetry in motion. I love the fact that you guys were squared up for an 11-day matchup for week 1. I think it's always enjoyable from my perspective to watch you guys go at it, because I know how important it is for both of you to get that win. As I look at Frank's team and the management from Frank, now I think this is probably the best that I've seen Frank manage ever, almost. I mean, I just felt like he was making things harder and harder on you, based on how he drafted, and that it seemed like there was a lot more patience. I saw that there were empty spots in his lineup, and he wasn't just necessarily filling them with a free agent the way I've seen him do in past and burn an ad there. It wasn't doing that. Like you said, he only used 11 of his ads. Now, maybe it's just me, and maybe you guys noticed it too, or I don't know if it's something that's only happened in the last couple of years. Maybe it's happened for over a decade, and I just haven't noticed. Or maybe now because we have 12 ads versus when we had 14, even versus when we had 21 ads, there's always a huge difference between those. But like, it always seems like in the first couple of weeks, no one maxes out on their ads, or like most people don't. Whereas like down towards like the middle of the season, or like 7 or 8 weeks in, then we start maxing out our ads. But in the first couple of weeks, no one really wants to drop players. Like, we're all a little bit apprehensive about letting go of the guy that's about to break out. I don't know if that's something that's been going on for a while, but I did notice it now this year, and that it happened last year as well. Maybe not so much 2020 because we're all going crazy with 6 weeks to go, but that's definitely something I noticed for the last 2 weeks that I wanted to address. Last 2 years, rather.
Yeah, Frank dropping Josh Staumont and Hunter Green are the 2 surprising ones this week. I will say this much, to piggyback off of what you just said. I find myself much more aggressive in free agency and using my waiver claim early in the season on high upside guys. Staumont, Wendell, Ahmed Rosario. I would have been in on Hunter Green too. And we've seen guys get dropped from Frank's roster before that have been this type of guy that multiple waiver claims are put in on. Sixto Sanchez comes to mind very quickly.
But he was right to let go. When
He was, and it worked out for him. Mike Haber, what are you seeing here from myself or from Frank this week?
Man, I love your team, Joe.
Thank you.
I'm so impressed with what you put together. And you know what's really impressive too is that you didn't really put a lot of emphasis on your offense at all in the draft. Like, and even like as you were narrating your thought process during the draft, like it was Franco and it was Soto, and those were your priorities. And like you locked those two in.
Mhm.
And then it was like other pieces just like fell to you, like Jazz Chisholm, like fell to you, like
Luke Voigt.
Luke Voigt.
Say
fell
what you will. Like I realized, like we didn't talk about him being maybe the least valuable player with his 15 strikeouts, but he's in a nice situation there.
Yeah,
And even with Tatis out, I feel like he's in a good situation.
And it's only
it's just
going to
such a
improve when
quiet
Tatis comes back.
Yeah,
I would think so. Yeah.
Chris Taylor too, like fell to you. And these are Brandon Nimmo. These are guys that like I was also targeting kind of later in the draft, and they just like, you know, they fell to you at like the perfect time where like you already had like 5 starters and like 2 closers.
Yeah.
So I agree with Ben. I think maybe power could potentially be one area where you could like fill in here and there, but like, I mean, other than that, you've got a pesky team that's going to be on base and hitting for a high average every week. You're going to rack up the pitching stats every week. People just need to know when they are competing against you for a given week, like you need to go about it in a different way. You can't go toe to toe with Joe Schubert's pitching staff. You can't. And I've known this every year. A lot of managers have known this every year, but you need a different strategy.
Yeah,
and that's
100%. It's so true.
So
I have to say
no,
this.
go ahead.
This is my favorite pitching staff I have ever come away from a draft.
Okay.
This is insane. When DeGrom comes back, and Verlander, and Luis Garcia, Pablo Lopez, and Marcus Stroman, that's my 5.
You're banking that Garcia and Stroman are legit. I'm still
and banking that Pablo Lopez is healthy.
I like him.
I love him. I absolutely love him. You guys know that. I like Marcus Stroman in Wrigley as well. He has had a couple of rough starts, but guess what? I didn't need to throw him for either one of them.
Right.
Because of the fact that I've got this. Here's the thing. This week I've got a terrible slew of matchups for the rest of my pitchers. This week I didn't, and I just didn't need it. As soon as Frank had streamed, I think it was who was it? I think it was Justin Steeler that day that he had the 3 pitchers going on Thursday. I was like, I don't need to throw another starter anymore.
I think you had already decided
very early.
Yeah, you had already decided by that Thursday that you were done.
I was done. Like I was not throwing another starter. It will all be relief pitchers from here on out. And on Sunday, there's absolutely no reason for me to throw anybody. There's nothing I can do but worsen my record because losses I have by 1, homers are tied. There's nothing else I can do. Frank,
and I also want to say,
week, though. Go ahead.
I also want to say for you, Joe, that where you drafted Verlander, like at the time, I was like, wow, that's really early for where Verlander is like typically going. But like, I mean, in his age, 38, 39 year, just back from Tommy John, like, I wasn't expecting him to be a Cy Young caliber, but like his first 2 starts are very impressive. So I just hope he keeps it up for you.
What does he have to lose?
Yeah.
He's going to throw. Like, he's going to throw innings. He's going to throw 180 innings. Last time we saw him in a full season, he won the fucking Cy Young and struck out 300 guys.
Yeah.
He's back 2 years now from Tommy John. And the Astros literally are looking at him going, yeah, we kind of need you to, like, haul us to the playoffs this year because Greinke's gone, McCullers is down. Like you're asking
a lot. You're asking a lot from Valdez and Garcia at that point.
Yeah.
All right, we shall move on to the next matchup here. And Ben, I saw you fist pumping and trying to jump in with something. What's going on?
Just my shortstop hit a 3-run dinger. So I was
Nice.
pretty
Dave.
excited about that as we go into the weekend. That was a pretty important hit.
From
Yeah.
J.P. Crawford. Very nice.
And Taylor Hearn right now for the Rangers, he has given up 2 hits, 3 walks, 5 earned runs, and has not recorded an out.
Is that your guy?
Oh.
No.
Does anybody have that guy?
I don't know if anyone owns him.
Oh, now we got to go look. I feel like that's a Costas guy. Just off the top of my head, I feel like that's a Costas.
Let's see.
He's a free agent. He's a free
Oh,
agent.
okay. Hey, our league is so smart.
However, he was drafted in the 19th round by Costas, and that's why I thought it was it.
There you go.
All right,
Got rid
Costas
of him
dropped
at
him.
the right time.
Costas dropped him 4 days ago. All right, we're gonna move on to the next matchup here, gentlemen. And Mike Haber, this one is yours, sir. Coming off of a great season last year, you had, correct me if I'm wrong, other than the playoff matchup where you got bounced out, you had 8 or 9 or more wins every single week of the regular season, correct?
Yes.
Here we are in week 1, and he's got 7. So we're off to a great start. Let's
Wow.
see. On Sunday, Mike, you had batting average by 2 ticks and ended up losing it by 10. Jason had home runs given up by a pitcher by 1 and gave up a home run. And the strikeouts were Jason's by 5. So, Mike, you took that one. So 1 flips in Jason's favor, 1 flips in Mike's favor, and
I
1
love
ties.
this idea, Joe. This is a great idea to do
You're
it this way. I'm just telling you because it is really all about Sunday and what they changed on Sunday. So I love that you did that.
Yep. Close categories. Jason wins by 10 ticks on the batting average and a save. Mike wins by 1 home run and 3 strikeouts by the pitcher. You guys
There you
tied
go.
in triples and home runs given up by the pitcher. For Jason on his bench, you ready for this one?
No.
3 for 28.
Oh wow, that was really impressive.
Very impressive.
90. I don't know.
107.
Okay, I was close.
That's good.
107 with 2 runs, a double. There is a home run on the bench, 2 RBIs, 4 walks, 14 strikeouts, and an error. The homer is the only thing that plays. It's Joe Adell on the 15th. I'll show you here. It's actually kind of disappointing when you look at it.
It was doable, huh?
It was absolutely doable. Adell here, 1 for 4 with the home run. Look at this outfield. Biggio, 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. Robert, 0 for 4 with a strikeout. Schwarber, 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. They went 0 for 12 with 5 strikeouts. And the utility spot was Eugenio Suarez, who hit a 3-run bomb. Yep. That's it. That's the only bad move all week.
Yeah. You're not benching Schwarber when you have home runs.
No,
like,
but I
kinda
think you
neck
could.
and
I think
neck.
you could safely bench Biggio.
Probably.
His transactions this week, he adds Dustin May, Mike Soroka, and Isaac Paredes. That's an IL, an IL, and an NA immediately. Way to not draft them and then go out and find the best ones that were available, Jason. Smart. He does, however, drop Tony Gonsolin that I think he wants back for Miles Michaelis. 3 2/3, two walks, a strikeout, a 491, and a 218 whip. He drops Jose Suarez for Caleb Smith, who sucked really badly. He dropped Jurickson Profar for Keston Hiura, 0 for 3 with a walk and 2 strikeouts. He waiver claimed Hunter Green. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Then got Daniel Bard for Lane Thomas, who relief appearance. That guy might end up being the closer out there in Colorado. Pretty surprising there. Dropped Keston Hiura for Yoshi Tsutsugo. More on that guy later. But that particular day, he went 0 for 5 with 4 strikeouts. That is the epitome of a terrible pickup. Like, that's as bad as it gets. He drops Caleb Smith for Josh Fleming. These guys are very similar. 3 1/3, a loss, 6 strikeouts, an 8.10 ERA, and a 240 whip. Michaelis gets dropped for Jordan Hicks, who went today and was actually pretty good. Josh Fleming gets dropped for Will Crow, who was fine in relief. Kevin Biggio gets dropped for Garrett Cooper. Jordan Hicks gets dropped for Adam Simber, which was a waste because Simber then gets dropped for Rafael Montero, who never pitched for him. He dropped Garrett Cooper for Hunter Dozier, which was a waste because Dozier got dropped for Ha-Seong Kim, and Yoshi Tsutsugo got dropped for Zach Collins. All 12 moves. His key players this week, his MVP, Mike, I'm sure you're going to hate to hear this. because this guy wore you out all week.
Yes, he
Nolan
did.
Arenado, 433 average, 514 on base, 9 runs, 5 doubles, 4 homers, 12 RBI, 5 walks, 4 strikeouts, and an error. His Cy Young is Framber Valdez, the namesake of the team. Where is he? Here he is, 9 2/3, a win, 6 walks, 9 strikeouts, an 0.93 ERA, and a 103 WHIP. Amazing that he still has a WHIP near 1 with 6 walks over almost 10 innings. It's really surprising there. The least valuable player, Yoshi Tsutsugo, who had a 100 average with a 269 on base, 10 strikeouts, 5 walks, an RBI, and 4 runs scored. His Cy Yuck, definitely going to be Caleb Smith, an inning, a loss, 2 dingers, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, 36 ERA, a 5 WHIP. Ben, that's one of the guys who came back in the Mike Trout trade in 2018. He's still in the
believe
league.
me, there was some guy named Triggers or Triggs.
Triggs. Andrew Triggs was the other one.
Triggers.
Yes, Andrew Triggs. Andrew Triggs is no longer in the league. Chad Kuhl is pitching for Colorado, and Caleb Smith is.
Hey, Chad Kuhl actually had a pretty good start the other day.
Yeah.
So,
all right, let's talk about Jason's big win here. Oh wait, we got to go over Mike's team. What am I doing?
Yeah.
Mike on his bench this week goes 8 for 45. Mike, is that good?
That is okay.
Yeah, it was a 178. 178, 3 runs, a double, a
178.
homer, 5 RBIs, a steal, 5 walks, and 12 strikeouts. None of it plays. None of it plays at all. Okay, moving on to your moves this week, Mike. You added Nick Martinez. I did like that move. And Bryson Stott, who became your namesake for a moment. Dropped Jordan Hicks for Marco Gonzalez. Added, are we pronouncing that John? Is that John Duran?
I call him Joan, but you can call him John.
Okay, we'll go with Joan Duran. He might end up being the closer in Minnesota by the end of the year. You dropped Robert Suarez after his blow up for Ryan Brazier, who was not good. You dropped Tyler Naquin for Tyler Wells, who was awful.
Horrible.
That dude was one of your like deep sleepers this year, and woof.
Yeah.
You dropped Johnny VR for Brad Miller. He was definitely Brad with the homer and 4 RBIs. On your bench, Ryan Helsley gets added for Tyler Wells. Jorge Lopez has his one bad outing of the season as you dropped him for Ryan Brazier. Marco Gonzalez gets dropped for Jeffrey Springs, who gives you a nice relief appearance. Dropped Jorge Lopez for Clint Frazier over 3 with a walk. Dropped Clint Frazier for Matt Manning, 2 innings and a 4.50 ERA. Dropped Pierce Johnson for David Peterson, 4 1/3, 2 walks and 4 strikeouts. And dropped Bryson Stott for Michael Wacha, 5 innings, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, and 60 WHIP. Your MVP this week, Mike Haber. Can you guess what?
Did you use all 12?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah. Matt Olson.
it is in fact Matt Olson. 421 average, 551 on base, 7 runs, 4 doubles, 2 homers, 2 RBIs, 11 walks, and 8 strikeouts. Nice.
Yeah.
Your Cy Young. Can you guess who I chose?
No, because they were all garbage. Oh, Chris Bassett.
It definitely was Bassett. 12 innings, 2 wins, a homer, 3 walks, 14 strikeouts, 0.75 ERA, 0.67 WHIP. Your least valuable player is
All of them.
Julio Rodriguez.
Okay.
103 average, 161 on base, 3 runs, a double, an RBI, a steal, 2 walks, and 14 strikeouts. The Cy Yuck,
Tyler Wells.
Steven Matz.
Oh, okay.
Steven
Yeah,
Matz,
that's-
8
yeah, he's
2/3,
bad
a win,
too.
a loss, a homer, a walk, 11 strikeouts, a 7.27 ERA. He was a plane, and a 150 WHIP. It's really just that one bad start against Pittsburgh, which is like, how did he have a bad start against Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Ben, let's talk about these teams. I guess we'll start with Jason. I wish he was here to hear it.
Well, all I will say about that, besides the fact that the offense looks very solid right now, I tried to pry Randall Grichuk from him, but he was having none of it. Corey Seager. I mean, this is a deep team. Obviously, a huge bench that's going to get shed over time so that he could add more bullpen. I love Jason to potentially make the playoffs this year. I feel like it was just a bad year last year. But don't forget, this is a Final Four team in 2019. 2020, we almost count as, just being a fun season for us. So give this guy more time to kind of feel out the type of manager he is in the bigs. And what a way to start, going against arguably the best day-to-day manager we have in Mike Haber, and beating him, almost as good, as close to a double up, as you could ask for against a manager of that caliber. So look out for this team, man, because I feel like Jason is a guy that's going to be someone that you have to look out for. And we know about Mike Haber already. We know any fault and any flaw in Mike Haber's team, he's going to find a way to figure out. Right now, as far as what that is, and I feel like I've been silly because when I talk about, Joe, maybe the offense I don't like so much, but I don't know. Like, we're talking about week one, we're just going to have to wait and see what these players are. Maybe Altuve has a really bad season this year for Mike. Maybe Eloy Jimenez, he's a 40 home run guy. Like, it's just, it's so hard to say. I can only speak for what I know about the brains of these two animals, and they're both brilliant at the game. So I'm expecting them both to be a close to a top of the standings all season.
I have to say this much, Mike.
Thank you, Ben.
It seems like you were just really unlucky this week. You have Robert Suarez, he has his blow up, so you go add Ryan Frazier, and he's not good either. And then you go to your well, and you go to a deep sleeper pick that you think is going to pay off, and it doesn't. It blows up in your face. You bench. What happened with Brad Miller? You picked him up and didn't play him.
No, I picked him up after those stats.
Afterwards, okay, because I was like, why isn't he in the lineup? Jorge Lopez, you pick him up. He has a bad outing and literally hasn't been bad since, with a save and a win and like 3 2/3 with a bunch of strikeouts. It's just, okay, those things are going to break for you sometimes. And last year, they all broke your way.
Yes.
So here we are at the end of week one. It is the end of week one. Bobby Witt is hitting 130 something, 128. Spencer Torkelson is yet to really get going. He's hitting 194. Frank Schwindel's doing his thing for you. And as long as you have Mike Trout, Matt Olson, Jose Altuve, and Mitch Haniger, I feel like you're going to be fine.
Yeah. This is I'm at kind of a loss for words on the team after week one and even week two now, as my brother is destroying me. The injury bug has hit me. I'm not going to make excuses though. Like, Trout, Haniger, and Altuve all going down like within the same couple of days is rough. Not to mention, like, I don't know what's happening with Trevor Bauer. I know Lucas Sims is coming back this week. Taijuan Walker went down for me. Like, it was just a lot at once. But I don't want to spend this time talking about that. I want to talk about Jason because he managed the hell out of it this week. And like, there's no excuse for me losing the way that I did. Like, I'm not going to make excuses because Jason just outmanaged me. And I have to give him credit and tip my hat. This guy picked up Daniel Bard as a free agent off the waiver wire, and he got him 4 saves, and beat me in saves because of this one guy. I had 5 saves on the week. Daniel Bard had 4. Camilo Doval, wasn't sure if he was a closer or not, and Jason stuck with him, and it really paid off. I had such a good time going head to head with him this week. There was a time when I think he was up like 16-2, and there was a time when I was up like 10-9, and like, it was just so back and forth. I'm happy for him. I said to him at the end of the week, like, if anyone's gonna beat me like this, I'm happy it was you, Jason, because like, you deserve it. You managed the hell out of it, and he did it in a very humble way. So I tip my hat to him. It's a rough start of the season for me, especially after last year, but it is a long season. So
yeah,
I think I'll be there. I think I'll be competitive at the year's end.
Yeah, and I could only imagine what that Jason Ashby humbleness is when you talk to him, it's like, because he's so nice about it. It's
Mhm.
almost like I can imagine him being like, "Yeah, but you made me play up to my competition," something like really
Mhm.
extraordinarily nice.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And like, is Grandal gonna hit like 100 all year? No. Is Eloy Jimenez gonna hit 100? Is Bobby Witt, Spencer
Right.
Torkelson? Like all of these guys are just so cold right now.
yeah, Torkelson, my God, yeah, you two have a lot of thumpers in there.
Yeah.
When this team clicks, it's going to be another Mike Haber team. The question is whether or not all of the pieces will click. Will
Right.
Bobby and Torkelson and Julio
Haniger.
and Schwindel, like those four pieces are pretty integral to this offense.
Yeah.
And on the pitching side, Mike, Zach Wheeler's health and durability and his success is really important on this team because after him, it's Bassett, and after him, what?
Steven Matz, number 3, baby. So
Yeah.
so after the draft, I was hoping, I would sort of stay afloat and wait for Chris Sale and wait for Trevor Bauer. And that was like my idea after the draft. It was like Steven Matz and Taiwan Walker can hopefully like be a 3 and 4 that can like at least hold me at 500 until Chris Sale and Trevor Bauer come back.
And then Sale got hit with the 60-day IL, so you're not seeing him until June.
Until June.
And Bauer, I mean, you can have Corey Kluber.
Oh, that's still on the table?
I mean, slowly but surely it's becoming less and less of a deal, but anyway, yes, Jason, great win. Unbelievable. Yeah. This pitching staff frightens me, honestly. This is coming from me. Eduardo Rodriguez, Walker Buehler, Freddie Peralta, Garrett Whitlock's on this squad. Hunter Green's on this squad. Framber Valdez is on this squad. This is a really good. And I said this to Jason during the draft that in years past he's had to go out and try to make deals for starting. Luis Castillo immediately comes to mind. He doesn't have to do that now, and he's put together a pretty good team here.
Yeah, yeah.
I think he could do for like one more outfield bat, but that's about all I would see.
Or another closer.
Yeah, yeah. All right, let us move on to the next matchup here, and we are going to see close matchup here between two guys who have been close to the playoffs in years past, just not quite getting there. Bobby Russo takes down an 11-8 win over Chris Levy. On Sunday, they were tied in strikeouts and they were tied in errors. Look at what happened. We've got Bobby winning one and Chris winning the other, with Bobby getting an error on Sunday.
Wow.
Close categories. Bobby wins by 2 home runs, 3 RBIs, 3 strikeouts by a batter, 2 losses, and 2 relief appearances. On Chris's side, he wins by the triple, he wins by the error, and he wins by the home run, 2 home runs given up by a pitcher. They tied in steals, saves, and it doesn't look like they tied in wins. That's a bad call there. Wins goes to Bobby. On Bobby's bench this week, Ben, here's a good one. You ready for this one?
Oh, boy.
28 for 132.
Oh, it's good. It's really good.
It is solid. It is a solid.
Oh, my God. Is it 189?
It's 212. Okay. However, it's 13 runs, 6 doubles, a homer, 8 RBIs, 16 walks, 34 strikeouts, and 2 errors. Guess what? None of it plays.
None of it plays. It's crazy.
Wow.
I'm jealous.
Go figure. He had an amazing offensive week.
Yeah.
Only moves this week. He dropped Joey Wendell. Thank you, Bobby. I appreciate that one. For Adam Ottavino, dropped Ramon Laureano. For Patrick Corbin, 2 2/3, a loss, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, 6 earned in Atlanta. Very unadvisable start. I wouldn't have done that at all. He dropped Patrick Corbin for Alcides Escobar, and on Sunday picked up Adam Simber. That's it. For Chris on his bench, he goes 5 for 41. Ben.
1 for 5, 40, 250, 247.
5 for 41.
Sorry. Uh, 207.
122.
God,
5 runs, a
it's
double,
getting
6
late,
walks.
folks.
The math gets worse and worse. Yeah.
It does.
As the
It
night
does.
goes, I still have homework to do. I have math homework to do later. So
Yeah. Yeah. You got to work on it.
A double,
Yeah.
6 walks, 9 strikeouts, 2 errors. None of that plays. His moves this week, he had C.J. Abrams and Raimel Tapia, dropped Ronaldo Lopez for Tony Gonsolin. That was a good move. Drops Raimel Tapia for Grayson Rodriguez, the top prospect for Baltimore, and adds Brandon Marsh. He drops Brandon Marsh for Tony Romero, who was that rookie who was starting for Tampa that one day. Sure. Dropped Grayson Rodriguez for Lucas Lutke. He drops IKF for Ahmed Rosario. He got the Rosario.
the waiver.
Drops Patino and Romero. Patino is going to be out for a couple of months with a oblique strain. Picks up Ross Stripling, 4 innings on a no decision, nothing earned against Oakland, and then drops Stripling to end the week. He used 9 ads. Key players this week. First, we'll start with Bobby. We'll start with Josh Bell. We've got a 350 average and a 469 on base percentage, 9 runs, a double, 2 homers, 10 RBIs, 8 walks, and 4 strikeouts.
Nice.
Yeah, I would say so. His Cy Young is Sandy Alcantara, 11 and a third, a win, a homer, 6 walks, 9 strikeouts, a 3.18 and a 1.41. His least valuable player, Mookie Betts, Jason. 206 with a 289, 5 runs, 2 doubles, 3 RBIs, a walk. A steal, 3 walks, and 8 strikeouts. Or do we go
Because of the
with Candelario?
206, I guess.
I mean, Yelich didn't have a good week. either.
Yelich 222 with 11 strikeouts, but he had 3 doubles.
Yeah, but he had a 353 on base, though.
I mean,
Yeah. There's a lot of candidates here.
Yeah, I mean, there's. Look, he had a really good offensive week.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of real quick, we've got
Yeah.
another host and waiting in the lobby.
Oh, we do.
No
Who wants
way.
to join us?
That'd be fantastic.
Jason
wanted to-
Ashby joining us
Yeah.
here just as we finished off. We just finished off his matchup, but you know what? We'll go ahead and put
Bring him
this
on.
on pause. Jason Ashby, welcome to the Bigs.
Hey guys,
Episode 25. Congratulations on your first week win, man.
thank you. It was daunting, man. That was crazy. That was a crazy week. To have to go up against Mike Haber for a long week is not fun.
We talked about quite a bit here. You're gonna have to go back and listen, but the one thing we did take away, Haber was most gracious and sung your praises as a gracious winner. Once again, just reiterating what this league is all about.
Well, I appreciate that. And like I said, Mike, you inspire me to be better. So that means a lot to me.
It's basically it's
exactly
pretty
what Ben
much
said.
what I said that you would say.
I told you he's so humble, and
He is.
it's like if I ever want to lose like 18-0, I want Jason to do it.
Yeah, for sure. You've taken over as Uncle Barry as the manager we all want to win now.
Nice.
Well, that's big shoes to fill right there.
Yeah.
That is pretty big shoes. But that being said, we certainly love your win. Congratulations. We expect big things from you. You have a great pitching staff and a really balanced offense. We look forward to seeing what you're going to do.
And a good fantasy brain and a lot of heart. All
sir.
the things that make a great champion.
Absolutely.
Yes, and just to be a little more gushy, this league brings it out of me. So that's all kudos to you, Ben, for putting this together.
you.
So
Thank you very much.
All right. Back to
Aw.
Bobby and Levy, who finished out this week with their 11 to 8 win. Now, Bobby, his least valuable player, we went with Betts here with the 206 average. His Cy Yuck, well, let's take a look at what Brandon Woodruff did this week. 8 2/3, a win, loss, 4 walks, 4 strikeouts, a 7.27 50. It's really just that really bad start in Chicago. And, that's what's going to ruin your ERA for a week. Over on Chris's side, his MVP is going to be, it wasn't really a good week for him offensively. I guess it's got to be Sean Murphy, 256 average, 302 on base, 7 runs, 4 doubles, a triple, 2 homers, 8 RBIs, 2 walks, and 13 strikeouts. His Cy Young will be Shane McClanahan. Very, very good week from him. 9 innings, a loss, a homer, 5 walks, 15 strikeouts, a 3 ERA, and a 1.22 WHIP. The least valuable hitter, surprisingly enough, Paul Goldschmidt, 138 average, 286 on base, 6 runs, a double, an RBI, a steal, 6 walks, and 6 strikeouts. But 138 is really bad.
Yeah.
Ahmed Rosario, shout out, 1 for 10 for him, too. The Cy Yuck will go to Max Fried, 11 innings, 2 losses, a walk, 9 strikeouts, a 5.73, and a 1.45. Gentlemen, we'll start with Jason Ashby. You're the one who researched this one for us. We talked a lot about the offensive production that Bobby put out and how much he missed on the bench, as well as how well Chris did. What did you see here, and what do you think are the strengths and weaknesses of these teams?
Yeah, and for Bobby, like I was compiling the bench stats for this week were I imagine you hit on it already, but
Oh yeah,
it was
28
incredible.
for 132.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like that coming out of granted it was a long week, so that plays into it, but it kind of speaks to the logjams that exist. But I think he did a really good job of putting the right guys in at the right time and taking the right guys out at the right time. So it wasn't that bad,
Right, nothing played, and a 212 batting average is good to go.
Yeah, so it was quite amazing for the magnitude of the bench for it not to really matter.
Yeah, and we've seen teams pull it off. I've seen Ari Nisman in 2018 have an unbelievable season with such few ads. Donato did it with very few ads also, but he played the very short bench, 9 or 10 guys most. But I will say, if Bobby does this, let's say theoretically, and he plays with a logjam, no harm done, like Jason's saying, with you can make the playoffs that way. Like you can, with 11-8 wins or like mitigated losses, you could do it. It's just going to be really, really challenging in this league.
Bobby only threw 58 innings this week on a long week. He's really only got 4 starters in Molly, Alcantara, Woodruff, and Sandoval. He streamed Corbin this week to give him 2 1/3. I feel like he's gonna need at least one more pitcher. Period.
Yeah.
Like I think every week he's gonna need, or he needs to go out and get somebody. And maybe part of that is unclogging this logjam. The outfield is pretty crowded with Castellanos, Yelich, Benintendi, Betts, Bell. Like there's a lot of moving parts on this offense.
Yeah. And he, and again, he only made 4 ads in the long week. One of them being Corbin. So, maybe he finds a way to be able to stream more guys, throughout the season. But we'll see.
We shall see.
And as far as Chris Levy, I was just gonna say, very motivated, determined manager. I could tell this year, especially now that like his cousin is in there. He wants to impress his cousin, who's 7 years younger than Chris. So Chris has got to show him, look, I play this game too. I'm a good player. When we go toe to toe, watch out for me. I have a lot more experience than you. So I don't know if necessarily that's what he's thinking. If I'm Chris, that's what I'm thinking. I want to impress my peers, as he's done in the past. He's a good manager. And let's see if he can finally crack it. He's been in the league with us every year since 2014.
He's got a good team. Goldschmidt, Bregman, Marte, Judge. This is a good offense.
Yeah.
The pitching is Max Fried, Shane McClanahan, Tony Gonsolin, Anthony DeSclafani, Jordan Montgomery. He's got Lance McCullers and Luis Castillo on the IL. It'll compete. It will compete. And it's what I would consider a whole bunch of 2s and 3s rather than one solidified ace.
It's gonna have to feng shui a little bit. There's gonna be some changes in order for him to finally get to that elusive playoff appearance that he has yet to have. So that's what his strive should be right now, man. Like obviously more would be great, but see Chris Levy in the playoffs for the first time would be kind of awesome.
That would be tremendous. Also, we're forgetting that Ronald Acuna is on this team too. and he's going to be back rather
Soon.
soon. And that outfield is going to be ridiculous.
Yeah.
Acuna, Judge, Canna, Brantley, Horizon, Rosario just become reserves at that point. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. This is gonna be a good team. This is gonna be a good team this year if he can figure out the pitching.
Let me just say, I'm glad I'm facing him now and not
Right.
while he doesn't have Acuna. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. As for Bobby's team, we talked about his pitching. His offense is really deep. Mike Haber, I don't know that you've specifically ever played with this long a bench, but how do you think he's making these decisions?
Yeah, I mean, like Jason said it, and we talked about it earlier a little bit, but like, this is every single day. Like, you are grilling yourself to make the right call here. And if anyone can do it, like Bobby can, and he's proven that, like, in the past, he loves being that offensive juggernaut. He loves it. And he's got the pieces to do it. He's putting a ton of pressure on himself every single day to just like make the right call.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I have faith in him, but like, it's just a lot. It's a lot.
It's gonna shrink. It's gonna inevitably shrink.
I just don't know what pieces really he's going to. He's got a lot of like star pieces on this team.
So Betts is obviously in, Yelich, Castellanos. I think Brian Hayes could get moved. I could see Nick Madrigal going quickly.
Madrigal can go.
Alcides Escobar going.
He
quickly.
wanted
Ron Jones has
Cabrian
opened.
Hayes very much on the team. I think
Okay.
he's going to stick with Cabrian Hayes as long as he can.
Okay, and Candelario is a nice platoon
Yes, for
Yeah.
sure.
there. Yeah.
And and the thing is, like in the first this matchup, it was maybe a little bit easier because the more teams had days off, and there were a lot of rainouts, and so it made it a little bit easier. As we get further down the summer, when like there's not as many off days and the weather isn't quite as bad, it might get trickier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
But
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it. I mean, like, when all of his pieces are in place and clicking, and even getting Baez off the IL, like, this is a very, very complete and scary offense.
Yeah. Agreed.
To Escobar too. I mean, like, Escobar was basically at one point like his second or third guy.
Escobar.
Escobar, yeah. He's,
Eduardo Escobar.
15th
I
rounder.
haven't seen the other guy that the Mets got this year. It was just on the COVID list. We mentioned him before.
We did. He's also
yes.
on Chris Levy's team
Yep.
in Mark Canha.
So they're both in the.
And
That's not how I say it.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm
Let
not
us
saying
move
it.
on to the penultimate matchup here for the evening. We're going to talk about Costas Paragas taking on Ari Nisman. Gentlemen, they dog fought each other to a 10-10 tie. On Sunday, nothing happened. Nothing changed. It was 10-10 going in. It remains 10-10. Costas wins by 1 triple, 1 steal, 1 home run given up by a pitcher, and 2 strikeouts by a pitcher. Ari wins by a double, and they tied in wins for Costas on the bench. Ben, 7 for 39.
7 for 39, Joe.
Mhm.
Well, 8 for 40 would be 1 for 5, 7 for 9. Better. 192.
179. You're in the ballpark.
Good math.
9
good math.
runs, a double, a triple, 2 homers, a steal, 5 walks, and 11 strikeouts. The double is the only thing that plays. Well, he benched his entire offense on Sunday, and I think that's something to be talked about here, considering that doubles were in play.
Scratched my head on that one.
And I'm
Joe.
not
I
entirely
didn't
sure what
understand-
he was protecting
don't-
against.
What was he? What was he protecting against? What was he worried about losing at that point? What was
I don't
close that he could have done it? Was it average? Like, I don't.
Strikeouts was
don't-
30 apart by the end of the week. He lost errors.
But
He
am I
was
looking
already
at this
losing
right?
it.
Am I looking at this right that he benched everybody except for Connor Joe?
Except for Connor Joe on Sunday.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna bench everybody, why still start somebody? Like, if you're
Well,
gonna start-
because so stolen bases were close, and maybe he's thinking, maybe that's the type of guy that uses steal. But like again, like why not play everyone in trying to get the double and the steal?
Yeah.
You don't have anything to lose, and you have everything to gain by playing it out.
Yeah.
Do we think he tried to bench everyone and forgot that Connor Joe was left in the utility spot?
That's kind of what I was wondering.
I have no idea, but to his credit, Connor Joe went 2 for 4 that day with a
Yeah, he did. He had a
Like-
he had a good day.
he had a good
doubled.
day.
He had a double.
I don't know. I really don't know what that was.
We'll find out. I mean, he's going to be on this show, and he'll get to explain it to us. I'm stumped for a manager that's as good. I don't know.
Yeah,
I asked you when it happened. I remember texting you personally, Joe, when it happened.
I have no idea. No earthly idea. The matchup was incredibly close all week. A couple of things that I did see, which was really fun. Hader, Hendricks, Romano, and Trevino on the 13th. 4 innings, 4 saves, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, a 150 whip, and 4 relief appearances. That's
more
that's a
on the
nuclear missile
bullpen.
is what that is.
More on his bullpen and Ari's power hitting later.
Hmm.
Lots to talk about.
Costas's transactions this week. He adds Nick Lodolo with the number 1 overall waiver claim for the season. Added Tyler Glasnow. Dropped Tucker Barnhart for Chris Bubich. Dropped Spencer Pat for Jake Fraley. Dropped JT Brubaker for Jace Peterson. Added James Kaprelian on the IL. Added Kyle Higashioka for Hunter Strickland. Added Seth Beer for Jace Peterson. Dropped Seth Beer for Kyle Wright, which was a good start. 6 innings, a win, a walk, 6 strikeouts, and an 050 whip. He then dropped Tyler Glasnow, so that's an incredibly wasted move for a guy who's going to be on the IL the entire season. Added Connor Joe, dropped Kyle Higashioka, dropped Chris Bubich for Elias Diaz, and dropped Taylor Hearn for Kyle Farmer. He did, in fact, use all 12. He used like 9 before Wednesday. Or no, he used 9 before the first Sunday was out.
Wow.
Yeah. His MVP this week, we are going to talk about Connor Joe a little bit more here. 346 average, 433 on base, 3 runs, 2 doubles, a triple, a homer, 2 RBIs, a steal, 3 walks, and 7 strikeouts. His Cy Young is, in fact, Kyle Wright. 11 innings, a win, a walk, 15 strikeouts, a 1.64 ERA, and 0.73 whip. Wasn't this the guy that Frank was saying he couldn't find the strike zone and was terrible?
Did he?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
The least valuable player on Costas' team this week. Did I really put Christian Yelich on a team that he doesn't play for? No, we're talking Akil Baddoo is what we're talking about here. 105 average, 150 on base, a run, a double, a homer, an RBI, a walk, 7 strikeouts, and an error. We could also go with Jared Kelenic, who's even worse, 048 and a 125 on base percentage.
Yo, he sucks.
Yo, he's
so far,
terrible.
he sucks.
He's really bad.
We're laughing because we're Mets fans.
Right. The Cy Yuck on Costas' team here. Well, I mean, we've got to talk about Nick Lodolo, who was 4 innings, but really, it's Chris Bubich. 2/3 of an inning, 67.50 ERA, 7.50 WHIP with a loss and 2 walks. Like, I think who was the start against? It was against Cleveland.
Yeah.
Cleveland lit him up like that.
Yeah.
That's bad.
That was embarrassing.
For Ari this week, Benjamin, on his bench. Are you ready?
Oh no, it's gonna be a big one.
It's 32 for 137.
Oh my God.
I'll go with
You got it, Ben.
237.
234. This dude almost nailed it.
Oh my God.
Once a show, he will nail one, and that's the one for this week. 16 runs, 8 doubles, 15 RBIs, 2 steals, 13 walks, and 32 strikeouts. The 2 steals are really the only thing that play here. He would have had to be perfect. One of them would tie. Realistically, how in the hell does he not have Lourdes Gurriel Jr. in the lineup every day right now? That dude is his 4th in the Toronto lineup. Why is this now the guy that I have to have an aneurysm over? Oh, right, because you drafted Pete Alonso, you've got Tyler O'Neill, you've got Rhys Hoskins, you've got Joey Gallo, You've got Kyle Tucker. You're out of positions now, and Lourdes Gurriel is the guy that you're benching every single day. It begins again.
It will.
He added two
But,
dudes. He added Richard Blyer and Stephen Kwan, gave him a 5 for 5 days. So now you have to play that clown for another 2 weeks. His MVP this week was Pete Alonso, 231 average, 289 on base, 7 runs, 3 doubles, 3 homers, 14 RBIs, a walk, 9 strikeouts, and an error. Pete Alonso for MVP. I'm putting my claim on it right now. Nestor Cortez is the Cy Young.
For an MVP, that's a pretty poor average on base.
Agreed. Agreed.
The fact like he's 28% of the time on base is not going to cut it. But
he's hitting 260 now.
No, I know. I'm just saying.
So, and I think that's where he'll end up, is somewhere between 255 and 270.
Oh, be amazing.
Cy Young was Nestor Cortez on a team that has another Yankee that's really a whole lot better over the long haul. But Cortez, 9 1/3, a walk, 17 strikeouts, nothing earned, an 0.75 whip. But he can't get a win because the Yankees can't hit the ball, I guess. I don't know what happened here.
All right,
they can't.
Right.
No.
No,
Well, he
right
went
now
4
they're
1/3 in the first start, and he went 5 in the second start, but lost 5-0 because the bullpen gave it. His least valuable player this week, Ahmed Rosario, is not on this team. Who am I looking at on this team? James McCann was bad. Kyle Tucker was bad. 121 average, 216 on base, but he did have 2 homers. Dansby Swanson, 160 average, 250 on base, 2 runs, 2 doubles, 2 RBIs, 3 walks, 13 strikeouts. That's
struggling hitter.
He leads the league in strikeouts. Last I looked.
Yeah, he's had one in every single game so far.
Yeah,
At least one strikeout in every game.
That is terrible. The Cy Young, he doesn't really have a whole lot that stands out as like, oh my god. Nick Pivetta had a bad start at home against Minnesota. That's got to be the guy here. 2 innings, a loss, a homer, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, an 18 ERA. It's ugly. But like when the worst guy on your staff has a 9.39 ERA and you still throw to a 107 whip, I think that's a pretty good week.
You think
glad
though
he
that
made the minimum. Thank you very much, Ari.
he probably would have wanted better from his 2 aces though, right? I mean, Garrett Cole and Aaron Nola through the
first time out,
ERA.
it does kind of suck, especially when Garrett Cole, one of his starts, his last start was an inning and 2.
Yeah.
5 walks.
Yeah.
That was an ugly start this week.
Yep.
For the guy who finished runner-up to you, Benjamin Nisman, how do you like this start for Costas?
Well, I'm a little disappointed by it here. I think this was not a must win because I don't think anything in the first week is a must win, but I kind of expected him to be able to outplay Ari and use what Ari does as a strategy to play against him. And the fact that Costas burnt all of his ads and didn't really give himself a lot of wiggle room for the following week, that kind of surprised me. Obviously, we talked about him benching the offense for no apparent reason on Sunday, confused me. I also want to know if at some point he's going to think, albeit I realize it's an 11-day matchup, 14 saves in one matchup against an opponent might be a little bit of overkill.
Yeah.
Just saying. You just might not need this many closers. I can certainly understand wanting to lock up that category, and it's important, but there's too many other things that are important. You can't punt every category. You can try to, but you really can't punt a category every week. But you certainly can't, create a monopoly to the point where there's going to be so many weeks where it doesn't matter when you're playing against a guy like Ari or against a Jimmy, guys that don't have closers, So unless you're, building a bullpen for the playoffs, at the trade deadline, Jason and I had that great trade with Iglesias and Trey Turner, and we both filled a need at that point. And Jason needed to solidify, get that second, or maybe it was even his third closer on that team to make sure that he was ready to go because he was going to probably be in the playoffs and he needed that other guy. So that's when I can understand it. This early, if I'm him, I'm really considering, one of these guys is a nice chip to trade. I don't know if he's going to do it. But he's been known to trade. He traded a good amount last year. So I would encourage that for him. As far as Ari, I can't say anything about, how he's going to be someone that we're concerned about with the minimum. He made the minimum every single week last year, and I'm just not going to get on him about it until it happens. I believe in him to do it. He'll do it in his own way, and he's going to play the game in his own way. Do we think he's going to be a top-tier team? No, at least I don't. If he continues with this strategy with a deep bench, and we'll talk about my deep bench in a while too. And I understand, Jason, we were talking about it in the beginning. A lot of people in the first couple of weeks, these last couple of years, we've been reluctant to shed a lot of guys. That we don't make as many ads maybe across the board as we do in June and July when we're more desperate. In the beginning, we're kind of feeling out our team. We're apprehensive about giving up a piece that we think might end up blowing up on somebody else's team. So as of right now, I'm giving it the pass. I'm seeing Ari play it out. It seems like he has a bullpen to an extent that I've never seen before. So to start the year, so we'll give him some credit. He didn't lose. He tied with this crazy power week, and to tie with the runner-up last year, like we talked about, that's impressive to me. So the question is this more about how Ari is able to tie the second place guy from last year, or is it about Costas probably giving up a win that he could have had?
I think it's more that. Mike Haber, where do you stand with that?
Yeah, I have to stand with the latter there, the latter, because I take a look at his team, and I don't mean any like offense. I just don't necessarily see any strengths here besides the bullpen, and it's
right.
It's a little concerning. I think what he's doing is that he was chasing what happened last year, and his strong bullpen got him where it got him, but he had other pieces. Like he spent the season building that bullpen. He didn't draft that bullpen, and I think that he was chasing that this year, but like he sacrificed so many other pieces that to me it's a bit of an overcompensation.
Maybe. I mean,
I think the closers at 1-2 is something that this season, and it's never been done before. Nothing like that.
Yeah, and it's like you said, it's just overkill to me.
Yeah.
So it's. And he might find that out as the season goes on. And in a way, like I want him to have a good season, but I also want Costas in a way to, if this whole thing, whatever he's been, and Costas after the season ended, he was ready to begin again. He started his research. He was getting his books. You know what I mean? He was been preparing for this. If he is a team that's in like the bottom quadrant for most of the season, all it will really do is have him respect this league even more, and just being like, wow, I thought I'd have something figured out. Looks like I have to adjust again, And I think that's something to be said for our league and how we tend to develop, not only individually, but just like all together, and how the league adjusts accordingly. It's great.
Yeah.
Over on Ari's side, the bullpen is Richard Blyer, Tyler Duffy, Luis Sessa, Brad Hand, and Dylan Floro. It's 5 guys this year. Last year it was 2. So step in the right direction. It's something. If he gets Lynn and Strasburg back healthy, with Cole and Nola being what they can be, that's a pretty nice front 4. Frankie Montas is your 5 all of a sudden. Okay, that'll be good. But do I believe that this team is going to be good? I think there's just going to be way too many stats on the bench, like we've seen in years past with him. And I don't necessarily believe that Strasburg is going to come back healthy, so kind of out on. Honestly, I think both of these guys could end up in that bottom quadrant you were just talking about, Ben. For Ari, that is, sad to say, familiar territory over the last few years. For Costas, it'll be interesting because in 2020, he did he make the playoffs with the 8th seed? No,
Frank did.
Yeah, he just missed out on the 8th seed in 2020.
No, he was far down there, Joe. He wasn't.
He wasn't good. Okay.
No, he was. Josh was ahead of him. Becerra was ahead of him. Mike Haber was ahead of him.
Yeah. Okay.
But I mean, we know what he did last year, you know,
Right.
and
And that's really what we expected him to play off of this year. Just I think he leaned too far into his strategy from last year and trying to chase that dragon.
yeah, we'll see. I mean, there is something to be said of what you're talking about. You and Mike brought it up initially, like feeling what, because it's funny because I was in the final with him. The final score in saves was 6-5.
Mhm.
Like I had 6. I had 2 from each of those guys. Like it's almost like when I was drafting, I'm like, could I have asked for better? 2 from Diaz, 2 from Hendricks, and 2 from Jensen. And Jensen also got me a win. So it was just like, and he got like 1 from Fulmer, and like respectively, he got 1 from Fulmer for the last day. It made 6-5, and if he flips that, it changes things a lot. But you know, I wouldn't let that be indicative of what he has to do in order to get over the hump the following year. It's a whole new year with all new types of teams. We're all different types of managers playing different types of strategies, learning from our mistakes, learning from our successes. And I have a feeling that things are going to change on this team a lot, especially if things don't go well the first 5-6 weeks. I could see him blowing it up.
I can see it as well. Let's move on to the final matchup here, and this one is for our reigning, defending, undisputed world heavyweight champion. Ben, in defense of your championship, you didn't lose.
Yeah, I'm gonna need some real positive remarks from the Jason Ashby and Mike Haber club, because they're usually good at making me feel better, which they should have.
You did great, Ben.
Thanks.
Notice how Joe
better.
was left out of that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It was
He's
10-10
good
going
just
into
telling me what
Sunday.
I did badly.
It was 10-10 going into Sunday. It did not change. You and James McCloskey finished it out with a 10-10 tie. You win by 2 doubles. You win by 1 win. You win by 10 ticks on the whip and 4 relief appearances. James wins by 3 walks by a batter and 1 loss. You guys tied in triples with a goose egg. Ben, on your bench this week, you went 20 for 118.
Thank you very much.
You did very well.
Yeah, nice job.
So is that let me think. It's under 200.
Yeah.
178.
169. Nice.
Even
8
better.
runs, 3 doubles, 2 homers, 9 RBIs, 11 walks, a steal,
Million walks.
27 strikeouts. And Ben, you asked about this off air because how many did you say you had?
I thought I had 6 or 7.
7 errors. 7 errors on the bench.
Thank you.
The 8 runs would have tied the category. You would have had to be perfect. 11 walks would have won the category. There were probably 3 to be had out there. The 27 strikeouts would have lost the category, and 7 errors would have been tied James on its own before the 4 you actually had in your lineup. Your moves this week added Stephen Piscotty and dropped Hunter Dozier, the big trade. And now here's where we will talk about what you brought on board. Anthony Rendon and Charlie Blackmon comes on for Rafael Devers and Jeff McNeil. I will defer to Mike Haber here, as we've heard from Jason and myself about this trade on a previous show. Mike, how do you like this trade for Ben?
I didn't really hold back when I voiced my opinion on it to Ben privately, but you know, I don't have the same belief in Charlie Blackmon that Ben does, and that's okay. I think he is kind of washed, but you know, if he's, you know, I know Ben likes his leadoff hitters, and right now I believe Blackmon is still the leadoff hitter in Colorado. And then you're really just kind of doing Rendon for Devers, and yeah, Devers strikes out a lot, but he can also win MVP. Like, he's that caliber of a player. And after what we saw from Rendon last year, and what we see from the beginning of this year, I don't know. I don't know. He got his contract, and I don't know if he's comfortable in that contract. And he's a mediocre player. You know, like, we really only saw Rendon like shine in his contract year.
Yeah, and that was the 2019 Juice Ball year. I just want to remind everybody of that. We'll move on. Ben, we'll get your thoughts on the trade here after we go through everything else, okay? You dropped Stephen Piscotty for Julian Merriweather, trying to get the same 2021 luster you got last year in the first week. Dropped Alcides Escobar for Hansel Robles. Jason, say it with me.
Fuck
Hansel Robles.
Robles.
You dropped Julian Merriweather for David Peterson. You dropped Brady Singer for Dylan Bundy. David Peterson gets dropped then for Kyle Freeland. Freeland for Zach Davies. Zach Davies for Didi Gregorius. And Carson Kelly for Brooks Raley. 9 ads, a
That's
trade,
kinda
2
nauseous.
hitters, 4 starters, 3 relievers. Over on McCloskey's side, Ben, he goes 12 for 81.
What? uh, um, uh, two, 230. I don't know.
148.
It's
Three-
ridiculous.
3 runs, 2 doubles, a homer, 5 RBIs, 8 walks, a steal, and 25 strikeouts. The 2 doubles would have tied it, but nothing else plays, so he would have had to be perfect.
All right, wait. So wait, what was his average on the bench and what was mine on the bench?
148 for him, 169 for you.
I had a much tougher job though, and a lot more at bats.
Agreed. 118 at bats to 81 at bats. On the bench.
30 plus more. Okay.
Yep. His moves this week, he added Merrill Kelly, he added Francisco Mejia, he added Zach Thompson. He dropped Zach Thompson for Elvis Andrus. He dropped Miguel Sano for Yuri Garcia, then dropped Garcia for Odorizzi and Odorizzi for Robert Suarez. 7 ads, 3 hitters, 3 starters, and a reliever. Key players this week. Benjamin, your MVP on the offense. Would you like to guess?
I guess Rendon because of the 2 steals.
JP Crawford, who went 11 for 31. That's a 355 average with 500 on base percentage. 5 runs, 3 doubles, an RBI, a steal, 6 walks, a strikeout, and 1 error. Pretty good week. Least valuable hitter. Would you like to pick one, Benjamin?
God. Someone must have batted like 095. But I'll go with Carlos Santana.
He was bad. The choice of Jason Ashby, who researched this, was Joey.
I think that was me.
Oh, it was you? Joey
Yeah.
Votto. 118 average, 250 on base, 3 runs, a double, 2 RBIs, 4 walks, but 15 strikeouts from Joey
There must have
Votto.
been somebody even bad, worse than that. I feel like I realize 15 punch-outs is really bad, but there might be someone like
Santana did hit
Donald.
056, but it was only 3 walks and 3 strikeouts. Eddie Rosario did not have a
Donaldson.
hit.
Oh my God, Rosario.
He did not have a hit with 3
Winker.
strikeouts and a
Winker.
walk.
What the hell did Winker do? You know what I mean? Like it's just
154 with 8 walks.
Rendon.
182, a homer, 3 RBIs, 2 steals, a walk, 6 strikeouts, and an error.
Donaldson.
208 with 11 strikeouts.
Caesar.
290 batting average.
I have that somewhere.
He hit well.
Can I just mention something kind of ironic
What's
that Ben's gonna hate? You got rid of Devers for what 2 reasons? Strikeouts and errors.
Yeah, no doubt.
And you on
And he
your
won
bench,
those.
endured.
but I just want to say on your bench, you had 27 strikeouts and 7 errors. It's like really crazy.
He might
I'm
not have 7
strikeouts.
errors for another month. But who knows?
I just find it kind of ironic. But
Yeah.
anyway,
How about Blackman's average in that first week? I think that was pretty doo-doo.
200.
Right?
200,
Yeah.
3 RBIs, 2 doubles.
doo-doo.
The Cy Young Award for this week for your team is Clayton Kershaw.
Kershaw.
Obviously, it was 7 perfect innings, 13 strikeouts, and a win.
Yeah.
The Cy Yuck, who was the bad
Davies
pitcher?
or Freeland? Which one are you
Ian
picking?
Anderson. 2 2/3, a loss, 5 walks, a strikeout, a 16.88 ERA, and a 3 whip. He was bad.
Yeah, that's
He
bad.
was really bad.
He followed up with a good one. I just had no reason to start him.
Right? For McCloskey, his MVP is Freddie Freeman. 324 average, 381 on base, 6 runs, 3 doubles, 4 RBIs, 3 walks, and 7 strikeouts. His Cy Young is Joe Musgrove. 12 and 2/3, a win, a home run, 14 strikeouts, a 1.42 ERA, and 0.71 WHIP. His least valuable player is Hunter Renfroe, 212 with a 278, 11 strikeouts, 2 doubles, a run, 2 RBIs, and 3 walks. And finally, the Cy Yuck, we are going to call Jake Odorizzi, 4 1/3, an 8.31 ERA, a 2.54 WHIP. It was his worst start, and not for nothing, McCloskey had a pretty nice week on the pitching side with a 2.79 ERA. Just surprising that he doesn't win the WHIP category because he gave up 32 walks. Ben Nisman, let's start here with you. Let's discuss the trade first.
Okay.
And what you saw in this matchup with James McCloskey. You have 9 minutes.
All right. Well, I'll make it. I could probably put it in 2.5, just so everyone else can get a turn. But firstly, the trade. I knew that right field was very weak, and I've always been a fan of Charlie Blackmon. I've always watched him rake and carry fantasy teams, fill up the stat board, doubles galore. I like the fact that he had over 500 at-bats and around 120 something strikeouts last year. Like, those numbers were good. I like that Colorado's offense got better with Bryant and Grichuk. So he was, to me, in a good position to succeed. And I felt the same way about Rendon. I just thought having the guy that bats behind Ohtani and Trout is a good guy to have. Like, no matter what, like, I would think that's a guy that's going to see pitches to hit, because you're not going to necessarily want to throw strikes, easy pitches to execute to guys like Ohtani and Trout, even Walsh, So I just think having one of those guys was a practical decision. And I just also felt, because I had Kike Hernandez, having that 1-2 punch is nice. You have Kike and Devers, but then I also thought, like, well, if they have bad games, then like I'm failing twice out of 9 guys in my lineup. So if I have one of them, then at least if one of them's good, then the other one's good, and vice versa. So I was like, okay, I'm going to keep one of those Boston Red Sox top guys. And I again, Devers didn't, for me, fit what I was trying to do, which was low strikeouts, good defensively, and he didn't fit those things. And I thought he was a good piece. So, and McNeil, the thing with Jeff McNeil is I realized that Jeff McNeil could have a good year this year, but similar to Josh Haber, how Josh Haber likes to put Yankees on his team and Phillies on his team because he's a Mets fan. So he's thinking like, well, if those guys are good, then they're good on my fantasy team. But if they're bad, fuck them. I hate them. So in my regard, it's just like with Jeff McNeil, I don't want to have to root for him in that regard. I want to be able to watch Jeff McNeil as a Mets fan, and when he screws up, not think about my fantasy team. I don't like that. It doesn't feel good. And I realized, well, what about Edwin Diaz? Well, it's different because like he was a closer. So last year I could just be like, well, he's going to suck, but yeah, I know he's going to get saves at least. And then you look at guys like Scherzer, and now I have McGill. Well, those are guys that I would consider trading because they're Mets, and I just don't want to have to think about fantasy when I'm watching them pitch. It's a little different than a hitter because hitters fail more often than pitchers. So, like a guy like McNeil, when he's like has a 3-4 strikeout game, I'm extra pissed. I don't want to have that. So I was looking to move McNeil no matter what, and I just thought like, okay, 2 for 2. I think this is a very even trade for both teams, but. Turns out right now Brian's winning that trade, and remains to be seen who will win it. Devers could, God forbid, go down with an injury. He could start to slump. We don't think it's going to happen. Or Rendon or Blackmon could have good seasons. So let's just let's see what happens.
All right.
Oh,
2.5 minutes turned into 5.
Oh, really? Wait, really? Did it?
Yeah, that's okay.
Well, too bad, because I'm going to take another one.
Well, go ahead.
I had this matchup. I had this win, man. I had it. And if I was just patient, instead of just trying to say, like, if I get these good starters, Freeland, and for God's sakes, the Rockies have been good except for this one game where I started Freeland. That did it. And then the next day, picking up Zach Davies saying, like, oh, for the Mets home opener. So if the Mets are good today, that's awesome. But if they're not good, then my fantasy team will succeed. man, did that blow up in my face. And of course, we talked about how many walks I had on the bench, but this was a win. Like, I really shouldn't have picked up those pitchers. I had a good ERA, and I probably could have won ERA also, but this was a win that I just left on the table. And when the competition is getting better and better here, I'm going to look maybe 15, 16 weeks from now and seeing myself close to a playoff spot or it's in the hunt and being like, man, those extra couple stats would have been really useful right now. I know we're all going to be in that position at some point, being like, God, I wish I didn't do that thing in week 5, you know?
Mm-hmm. Credit to James McCloskey, 100 innings and a 2.79 ERA. Did not get enough wins to win that category, but did not make a fool of himself here against Ben in the first week. Offensively, I mean, it was pretty easy for him to get wins here, especially when you're hitting 198 with an under 300 on base percentage and only 4 homers in a 10-day matchup.
Yeah.
Seeing Devers hit as well as he does right now, are you regretting the move just for this week?
No,
Okay.
no, not yet. Because I don't think that switch would have made the difference.
Okay.
You know, like that wouldn't have helped me win some of these categories. I still would have had a bunch of shit from other guys.
True.
You know what I mean? Like maybe I don't have Rendon and maybe I don't have Blackman, but like then I have fucking Hunter Dozier or Piscotty or some other clown, you know? Like there's really the other guy that I would have put in there would have made that big of a difference. If I had played McNeil also, then we're getting closer, but I was never going to do that. I would have sat with McNeil on the bench every single time playing Cigars and Caesar. I know myself, and I know I would have kept benching him. I know it.
All right, gentlemen, that will bring us to. I'm just gonna move on to managers of the week. At this point, we are pushing 3 hours on the show.
Wait a minute. You don't have Ty Pickinton ready? We got to do best and worst. I'm not okay with that.
Ty Pickinton lives up there now. The best and worst are being done in the matchup now. That's what the MVP and LVP. We're gonna save some time this way. So let's go to managers of the week. We discussed this last year. Mike Haber did in fact win a signed baseball card by being the manager of the week every single week. Was it the Whit Merrifield card that you got for that one?
Oh yeah.
That's a good one.
Nice.
All right. So with week 1 in the books, I will ask for your number 3 manager of the week, and I will start with our reigning and defending undisputed champion, Ben Nisman. Ben, who's your number 3 manager of the week?
I'm going to go with Bob Russo here. It's hard to ignore how well he did on the bench here, and playing against a tough manager. He drafted well and love what he did. So I'm giving it to Bobby.
All right. 1 point for Bobby this week. Mike, who is your number 3 this week?
I'm going to give it to one of the new guys. I'm going to give it to Christian, taking 13-6 victory over Jimmy Dunlap. Very impressive. And, to just kind of jump into our league and take down a manager of Jimmy's caliber is really impressive.
Yeah. Very, very nice. Very good showing. I feel like he's going to be talked about a bit more here as this little segment goes on. My number 3, Jason Ashby. Congratulations. You're going to get a 3rd place vote here this week by taking down Mike Haber and almost double up. A very, very solid win. A really great week from you, and I expect to see a lot more where that came from. Let's hear who your number 3 is, sir.
I'm going with our top scorer of the week, and that's Josh Haber. He turned our heads last year and rode that momentum into us stopping this year, the first week of this year. So I'm giving it to him.
All right. I think we're going to be hearing his name as well. Ben Nisman, let's start with number 2. Who is your number 2 manager?
His name was said earlier. I'm going to just echo Mike's words, but putting him in 2nd place, Christian Wood. Just can't ignore a win over Jimmy Dunlap. Such a dangerous manager. And played him well, played patiently, and following it up with greatness in the following week. So, yeah, Christian for number 2.
Absolutely. I echo those sentiments. Mike, your number 2 this week.
I got to give it, I'm torn between 1 and 2, but I got to tip my hat to my competitor this week, and I'm going to give it to Jason because the matchup was incredible. And, I said what I said before, and I meant it. Like, you're an incredible manager, and you killed it. You managed the hell out of it. Daniel Bard is haunting me in my dreams.
That is the meme of this matchup is Daniel Bard. We'll see what happens at year end where and Daniel Bard ends up. My number 2, we've already talked about this guy twice. I'm just going to echo all the sentiments. Christian Wood, you made one hell of a splash in your first week in this league, beating Jimmy Dunlap. Hats off to you. Jason, your number 2, sir.
I'm talking about the guy we just talked about in the last matchup. James McCloskey comes back into the league and forces a tie with our reigning champion Ben Nisman. So to me, that deserves some props. So I give it to James.
All right, 2 points for Mr. McCloskey, and that will bring us to the number 1 round. Benjamin Nisman, who's your number 1? Who's your manager of the week?
When you force an opponent to only get 7 stacks for the first time in well over a year, I mean, at some point in 2020, I guess he got it. You can't just ignore that. So give me Jason Ashby as my number 1 guy. Played his heart out. This was neck and neck, going back and forth, lots of lead changes, and required him using all 12 ads, which I liked. So I'm giving it to Jason for this one.
All right, congratulations, Jason. You've now taken the lead with 6 points at this point. Mike Haber, let's talk to you about your number 1.
I have to go with my brother on this one, taking down Josh Haber, taking down Mike Sherman in dominant fashion, and this actually could have been a bigger victory. It was so lopsided from the beginning. So he has a scary team, and it's not going anywhere. So credit to my brother.
It was an incredible week, and I think we're really seeing a change in Josh Haber's managerial style, and I'm seeing obvious results from said change. He is also my number 1 this week. Absolutely. He opened our eyes in 2021. I think now he's coming for his ship here because he's one of the elder statesmen in the league at this point without even he didn't have a playoff appearance until last year, let alone a finals appearance. So let's see what you can do, Josh. Let's get you a playoff win this year. Jason, round us out here. Number 1 for you this week.
Yeah, the guy that you guys all mentioned already. I'm going with Christian. Rookie manager coming in and taking down an experienced manager like Jimmy Dunlap. The way he did, I got to put him top of the heap.
Yeah, you beat Jimmy Dunlap, and it says something. It sends shockwaves through the league. So after 1 week, we have 5 names that have appeared on the board. Leading the charge with the most impressive win of the week, apparently, is Christian defeating Jimmy Dunlap. He has 8 points. Josh Haber in second with 7 points. Jason Ashby with 6. James McCloskey gets a deuce, and Bobby Russo gets a point. I'm very disappointed that none of you voted for beating Frank so handily. Shame on the 3 of you.
It was a good battle. I guess it just kind of gets hidden with some
It's okay.
other stuff.
It's okay. There are 20 more weeks. For those new guys, especially Christian, who's probably now piqued his interest, every week we're going to name these 3. And if you come in first, you get 3 points. If you come in second, 2 points. If you come in third, you get 1 point. And at season's end, we will tabulate all of the votes, and the winner will get a signed baseball card from a member of their fantasy team. Mike Haber was the inaugural winner with the Whit Merrifield. We also have the 2 games that I set up here, the betting odds and the team over-unders. Those links are on the board. Gentlemen, let's round this out by saying which matchup piqued our interest the most this week. What is your matchup of the week? We'll go in reverse order. Jason Ashby, we'll start with you.
Selfishly, I have to take mine and Mike's matchup. If I have to pick another one, I'll find one. But like, even just taking myself out of the matchup, it was just fun to watch. Like, because it's Mike Haber, and like, to me, that it just makes it that much more intense, that much more interesting.
And it helps that you won, right? Like, it helps that you beat Mike Haber, right? Like, that's something.
Yeah, no. Even if I had lost, though, I would have felt the same way. Like if the score had been flipped, I would have felt exactly the same way.
I hear you. I also voted for that one as my matchup of the week for all of the reasons, not just because you guys are 2 of my best friends, but that was an incredible show. Great work. Mike, what is your matchup of the week?
Oh man, I think I kind of have to go with Ben's matchup because I was following it all week. So I'm gonna go Ben and James McClaskey and ending in a 10-10 tie. And it was like so close all week. And like, if I don't know, I was just so into it because every day I was updating it and it was just like, you know, some just like nail biting. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
sure I can't
it really
imagine how
was.
you felt, Ben, but
No, it was a roller coaster for sure, and I'm just
Yeah.
like wondering how am I gonna hold on to doubles here? It's so close. Oh, can I catch walks somehow? Yeah. So no, I could see why you would choose that one. It's just that for me, at least, it's always must see television if I'm watching Frank Bucco versus Joe Schubert in anything. In anything, you guys playing ping pong, and you might both suck at ping pong, but I want to watch you guys compete in anything. So that's honestly, I was probably watching that matchup as much as I was watching my own matchup.
How about arm wrestling, Joe? Would you win? Would you beat Frank?
Wait. I have beaten Frank Bucco in a street fight. I have.
I don't know.
Proof. I have
He must
video
have
proof
been.
that I have
He
beaten
must
Frank
have
in a
been.
street fight.
He must have been inebriated.
Was it like a fake like wrestling street
Yeah,
fight,
of
or it
course.
was a real? Oh, okay.
Oh, that's so
Okay.
not the same thing. But I will say, both of you guys are very talented wrestlers as
Thank
far
you.
as like being able to
Well, we
choreograph
were
a very
15,
good
20
match.
years ago. You have to remember that was,
I
that
know,
was
but
15 years ago at this point.
I want to see a
Always
rematch.
Oh my god, I don't know that I would be able to do
wrestlers.
that. I don't know that I would be able to do that. Guys, thank you so much for being here. This has been an unbelievable first week. We are moving to Monday nights with this show starting next week. I'm super excited for that. Biggs Live, we're thinking will be on Sunday nights after I return from work. So we will get all kinds of fun and exciting stuff here. Jason Ashby, thank you so much for showing up mid-show and showing up right after we finished your matchup. You'll have to go back and watch this. But thanks for coming in.
I can't wait. Yeah. I'm glad I was able to make it in time, and you know, I'm glad that the four of us were able to at least be together on the first week. That was a goal of mine. So
that does mean a lot to me after so much happened last season. Mike Haber, you are the one person on this panel that has a big fat L next to your name after the first week. And you were the guy who didn't lose but like 4 times last year. So over or under 3.5 more losses for Mike Haber this season?
Over.
Okay.
Or
Thanks for
exactly.
being here, man. We really appreciate you. You're the one who's staying up the latest with us, man.
I was about to gush over you guys, and then you just put a giant L on your forehead.
A big fat
L.
Big
Right.
fat L.
L for you.
Yeah, no, I got my work cut out for me this year, but honestly, like I'm gonna be here as much as I can because being here with you guys is a highlight of the week for me. So thank you, thanks for having me, and I love that I'm here with all 3 of you this week. It's amazing.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And Champ, Kamish, the floor is yours, man. Thanks for being here.
I didn't want to miss the first show, man. It meant a lot to me for me to be here for the first one, and as many as I can. And I echo the same sentiments that my co-host does as well. We're so happy to be back and happy to be here doing this. And we love that the league is so grateful for it too, because it gives us, just like when you have a big win in fantasy, just like this, it just gives us more energy knowing that they're so passionate about listening. We want to give them more content. So thank you guys. And thanks to the panel, guys. I love you. And we're back. The Biggs is back.
It's the Biggs is back. It's the Biggs podcast is back. These weekly reviews will not stop. They are going to be bigger, better, faster, and more awesome than ever before. I think we nailed this one, and we're only going to dial this thing in this year. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you are watching on YouTube, click that subscribe button and ring that bell. You will be notified every single time we upload new content or go live. For those of you listening to us on Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, or any of the, I think we're on like 15 different platforms for audio at this point. Thank you guys so much. Share this with all of your friends. Share this with your league mates. Share it with our league mates. We want as many people listening to this as we possibly can. Follow us on TikTok for hot takes and outtakes. I post those. We actually do have an outtake from this one because somebody screwed up the intro.
Yes.
I think that'll do it, guys. Thank you again so much. And until next time, guys, it has been real, it's been fun, and it is always real fun in the bigs. I love you guys. We'll see you next time.